We are Brightside Home Theater.
Hey, home theater nerds, welcome to the Brightside Home Theater Podcast. The home theater podcast that's all about the experiences, the sights,
the sounds,
the scenes.
The sights, the sounds, the scenes. The last live show of the year, this is it for the three of us till next year, officially. As we said in the green room earlier, you never know what's going to happen with us. I mean, something fantastic might drop. I don't know, maybe, and we got to talk about it. There's always something up in the air, but we're going to take the next 2 weeks and try to relax. Oh, boys, how have we been? It's been a week.
Been good. Been good, yeah.
Yeah, I'm all good. A little bit tired after some very, very busy week at work, and it's not over yet. But yeah, no, all good. Raring to go.
Nice. Were you guys able to catch my interview there with Patrick Reed Johnson of 52577?
I've caught some of it. Not all of it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was a lot. I found my match.
It was too long, man.
Did you? I mean, he went. There was one part at the end where it's like, he just kept talking and he's just like, and I'm loving it. I'm sitting there going, let's go. I'm like, all right. And he was telling a story at the end. He goes, I got one more if you guys got time. You get somebody like that on and you're like, when do you gotta go? Not me. Yeah. I'm not going anywhere. And I
had a list to put together, movies to watch. I didn't have time to listen to that. So.
Well, it's there. It's recorded. It's over on AV Nirvana, so check it out. Highly recommended. Have you seen the movie, John?
I did.
What'd you think?
See the movie. Yeah, it was a movie. I wasn't going to say. I really wasn't going to say because I know we had him on the show. Yeah. And I don't know if he's going to become a listener or not, but I didn't really love it, to be honest with you. I thought it was a little too disjointed. And I mean, I know what he was going for, obviously, but I thought it was not great.
That's all right. I loved it.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it. And when you listen to him talk, you might get a different perspective. Maybe not. I don't know.
Maybe.
But it's his story. I mean, it's literally his story. And, it was amazing to talk to him about it, too. Great guy. And like I said in the recording, like, just pull the pin and stand back because he's going to explode with information. Just wants to talk.
Didn't he say it was going to be an hour? And he just
no. We had some conversations beforehand, the weeks leading up to it, and it was Travis had asked, like, what kind of time frame do we have? And then Todd had said, let's keep this to like an hour and a half. And then Patrick said, he goes, well, I could go 2 hours, 3 hours if you guys want.
Well, it's his movie and his story, right? So if he can't talk about it all day, there's something wrong.
It's his movie, his story, what he's been doing since, and there's a lot of good stuff in that interview that I just had a blast. I bought 4 more copies of it. I'm giving them away at Christmas to my family. I just think clearly it's a lower budget film.
Well, of course but that didn't bother me because that's.
But I just the artist in me was just like, I'm not a filmmaker by any stretch of the imagination. Never have been, never wanted to be. I know that's not something I wanted. But it's that creative process and watching them. And there were a lot of things in that movie that I did as a kid with models and stuff where, the forced perspective and stuff where I put a Mustang in my driveway, just by mounting it and laying down on the ground and trying to get the picture and stuff and all that silly stuff. I put a Huey helicopter in the circle in this cul-de-sac in my street. Like, look at this, the Huey landed today. My parents like, yeah. I was probably like 12 and I like hand painted the Huey helicopter and be like,
Right.
yeah, that looks, I mean, the perspective looked right. The paint job, not so much. Stickers are still like dangling off the side. Looked realistic to me. But yeah, it's just, it was just for me, for a guy sitting down here like a donkey, just even being asked, I was just blown away. There's that clip at the end when he joked. I said, I was thanking Travis and Todd for asking me on. I'm like, what am I doing here? But I had joked to them. I go, hey, I said I wasn't coming unless Patrick was going to be here. And then Patrick said right back, and he goes, and I said I wasn't coming unless DJ was going to be here. And I was like, clip that, clip that. And I did.
Yeah.
So I played that for my wife right away. Look at. So, what else did we have happen this week? Oh, my Brent Butterworth. Anybody hear that one? That one just dropped today as we're recording.
Yeah, like I said, I'm halfway through or so. I'm working my way through that one. Yeah.
That was Brent and I were supposed to sit down. As I say in the podcast, we'd been talking pretty much all year, and we had settled on First Blood. And if you hear that entire podcast, it's like 5 minutes of First Blood.
Yeah.
Because he just kept going on audio file stuff, and I had so much fun with that. And I was going to put it in tweak of the week, but I'm going to leave that all up to you, John. You got a pretty big tweak this week. But I have since gotten the SVS Prime, what is it? The bass audio, the bass unit. And I've been listening to the speakers. I'll probably be doing a video on it sometime soon, but the listening to the speakers that Ara made me and stuff instead of my sound bar. I had a Sonos Sound Beam, and now I'm using Ara speakers, and they sound. Jen was like, it sounds so much fuller. I was like, well, yeah, but they sound incredible.
Coming from a sound bar.
Coming from that little sound bar and to be fair, I had rear channels on that too. I had it set up that I had the sound beam and then two ones in the back, and now that's all gone. And I like this a lot better, and it sounds nice. And I don't even, what I found interesting, it was like a couple of days with it, and I don't have to have like nighttime mode on or anything to be able to, or I don't know if you know, on Sonos they have a dialogue enhancement mode. There's none of that. I don't have to do it. It just sounds good. I can hear everything. I can understand everything, flipping the channels. So sounds good. A lot of fun.
Awesome.
Having fun with that one. Let's see what else. Any other housekeeping before we get to anything? All right, let's get to, we have huge before we get to, if we get to all of our listener experiences, because Steve's got a boogie today, so he's got a hard out. But before we get to that, we are going to be doing our must-have top 10 first ever Brightside Home Theater must-have 4K or discs of 2022. The three of us compiled our lists, and I've been storing them in a mayonnaise jar ever since the results. We'll go over all of that, but that's going to be coming up before listener experiences. And if you guys want to blast through what we have this week, John, why don't you go first? What you got this week to talk about?
Oh, let's see. Well, we're going to talk about The Gray. We're going to talk about the first 3 episodes of Willow on Disney Plus. Season 2 of Warrior Nun from Netflix, and then a bunch of 4K discs, Edge of Tomorrow, Uncharted, The Batman, and Ambulance, and then I rounded out with Midsummer from Showtime streamed. So that's my 2 weeks list, actually.
Yeah, that's true too. Steve, why don't you can rifle off your list, and if we get to them, we get to them, but these are what we got in store.
Yeah, I've got Wind River on Blu-ray, Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, don't know if you've heard of that, Angel Heart on 4K disc, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the 2022 Netflix special, again, holiday Why not?
Yeah, exactly. That and your next one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. And then Emancipation on Apple TV Plus, and then the G.I. Joe Origins Snake Eyes as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing about all those holiday specials you got going there. I'm watching your list go on as during the week, and you're adding to the list. And I'm like, damn, this guy is in the holiday spirit. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I saw your tweets about Emancipation too, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that one until after the new year.
Well, quite, yeah.
Yeah. So
I've got many Santa hats in that.
Yeah, I thought I'd balance it out with some real holiday spirit. Yeah, I have the gray as well. We're gonna have that discussion. Then the holiday special. It's not really. I thought it was, but Lethal Weapon 2, Batman Returns. I revisited that one, another holiday one. This truly is a holiday special. DreamWorks Rise of the Guardians from 2012. My wife and I visited with that. House of the Dragon, where my wife and I are going back through that. She actually never finished the series. I did, but she hasn't. So we're going back through that with the new digital, which comes out next week. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And also the Santa Clauses on Disney Plus. Wife and I are watching that. So we'll talk more about that as well. And that's it. That's it. That's, a little tiny list.
Yeah.
Santa's list is about that long with all the billions of kids he's going to hit. All right. For this week, for Patreon supporters, our first up, I am going to talk about thank you to Mark Hader, doubled his pledge amount for this month. That was huge, really huge. That puts us over... if I remember, I don't have it written down, but it puts us over the $150 mark for the month just on Patreon alone. So that's getting us closer to that 200 just with Patreon. So, getting closer to that 50% mark. And then what do we got next, John?
Ara bought us a $20 box of popcorn.
I
think Ara's bought all of our popcorn.
No, we had a bunch last week.
Oh, that's right.
A few weeks ago. We had to round out last month. We had a bunch of popcorn come in, put us over the $200 mark.
That's right, because you took a week off.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah,
you took a week off, and everybody bought us popcorn.
I know. I'm like, and Ara bought us another box of $20 popcorn. That was his first $20. The first one, he was just testing out the system. The second one he bought was for our whatchamacallit, our HT tours.
HT tours.
And then this one here was just out of the blue, and he just said, nope, like you guys, thank you. And I was like, dude, put it in the list.
We're going to be off for the next 2 weeks, so I can't wait to see how much popcorn
cha-ching.
we get. Yeah.
And then
We're going to be swimming in it, Scrooge McDuck style.
Yeah, exactly. Steve, you want to read the Patreon supporter of the week?
Yeah, you may have DJ'd this or brocked it.
Why?
The Patreon supporter of the week, is it Omar Delgato or Delgado?
Yeah, you misspelled it.
Yeah, but nobody sees that. I just type these out as fast as I can.
Nobody call it out, though.
I know. I'm like, do you know how many
we're rolling over on you, DJ.
I know. I was like, boy, that went a lot better in rehearsal. It's like you leave
because now Omar knows that you misspelled his name.
I was like,
and he's coming for blood.
I'm like, I just like grab these things. Oh boy.
Yeah. You know he's an ex-police officer. You never upset a police officer.
No. I'm not the one upsetting him. You are. He never would. When I say the name, I didn't mispronounce it.
Actually, does that make me a police informant?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, oops. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, all right. But
Tweety Bird over here.
So anyway, Patreon supporter of the week, Omar Delgado.
It's getting uncomfortable in this chair with that knife in my back.
So Omar's been a Patreon supporter.
That's my lawyer. That's my lawyer right there. Yeah. Really helping me out.
Shh. Don't tell anyone.
With friends like you guys. Jeez. Happy holidays. Jesus. Checking all my spelling in notes, in my shorthand notes. I love this bar. I love this bench. Where's the damn bus? It's a damn
That's
bus.
it, yeah. I think I'll walk.
All right. And this week's, let me go to my notes here. Nick from SVS, we were supposed to record last week. We were supposed to record the week before that. Been a little busy. Both of us have on both ends of this. And it's been very difficult. But this month's charity, he's sending me the information. The links are in the show notes. But this month's charity put forth by SVS is because they've been such a great supporter of us and helping us support all of our charities. We're doing one. We're giving to the Washington Performing Arts Organization out of D.C. Links will be in the show notes, and I'll have more on that. And we are organizing. We're trying to get our schedules aligned so that the last week of the year, we'll wrap up the month talking about that. And I'll be talking with Nick and even potentially Gary as well from SVS, the president of SVS. So that'll be a lot of fun because I want to get them on here because I've been trying to get them, but you see them, they're busy. They got a business to run. Yeah, I don't care about that. I just want to talk to the people. And when I was on with them, I said to Gary afterwards, I go, I want you on my show because Gary's like, he's like the way a president should be. Very presidential. He's very professional. He's this. Well, when he comes on my show, we're going to be a little less professional. We're going to have some fun.
There it is, John. Look, we mentioned Omar Delgado and not Delgado, and we've been replaced already.
I know it.
Yeah. I know. Didn't take long. I always got something. I got something in the wings. Exactly.
He's got a rotating cast waiting to take our seats.
Yeah, we are expendable.
Spell that. Yeah. See? It's not that easy, is it?
It's got a T in the end. It's got a T at the end. I know that.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. You can find all of us on Twitter. We are all still on Twitter, happily surfing. John's never really happily surfed Twitter, but we're all on Twitter, and you can find me or Brightside Home Theater at Brightside HT on Twitter. You can find John at Arkham Comics with an X, and you can find Steve at Legal Beagle OK. I won't even tell you how many times I misspell that when I'm typing it out. For some reason, when I type legal, I always think legal is Leag. I don't know why. Legal. And it never comes up because when you're on Twitter and you put at and then the first letter and it'll start filling it in. I'm like, how is it not seeing Steve? And it's like, and then I'm like, oh yeah, there's no A in legal at the LEA, right? I'm like, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
So,
well, every time I see it, I think of Three's Company. So
I know. Yep. The Legal Beagle. It was the Regal Beagle. But yeah. Oh, I know that. But how did you, speaking of which, I know you're short for time, but the hell with it. How did you come up with that? You just love dogs and you're a lawyer?
No. It's an old sketch, an old TV sketch from a comedy duo here called Hale and Pace. And this goes back to the late 80s, probably early 90s. And they had a little sketch that they did with puppets. They're like the Muppets, but they were sort of puppets. And during this one sketch, and I must have been so young, way before I wanted to be a lawyer. And they had this one sketch where they had a dog come on that had a barrister's wig on and a cape. And it was
just how John envisions it.
Yeah, there you go. And it was introduced as Eddie, the Legal Eagle Beagle. And I never, for some reason, I never forgot it. I don't know why.
That's
I have
awesome.
no idea why that stuck. And so, trying to do Legal Eagle Beagle would just take too long on Twitter. So I shortened it to Legal Beagle. And I've had that for ages with, it's like Xbox handles and, PlayStation stuff. It's all Legal Beagle.
I can't imagine it's taken by a lot of people.
Well, and yet there's a company that does pictures of beagles dressed as barristers, and they are called Legal Beagle. Oh, but I had mine before that, so
there you go.
It's no big deal. But even my car number plate is Legal Beagle, so it's L99 BGL, so it makes Legal Beagle.
Nice, that's awesome.
It's so it's one of those things.
How have I known you this long, and I just learning that now? You would have thought that would have been the first thing I asked you when you came on for a Takeover Tuesday or something. Like, where did that come from?
Where did that come from? Well, the biggest thing though, you know how particular I am and how I get irritated by small things. What irritates me about the Twitter handle is it's all in capitals.
Yeah.
Now that's just when I started on Twitter. I didn't know. I didn't think it would work, so I put in @LegalBeagle OK.
Yeah.
And now I can't change it. I can't make it lowercase because that's
really
someone else's. Yeah. So it's got to stay as caps, as I understand it. So that irritates me no end.
So somebody else has Legal Beagle OK in non-caps, and that's a different address?
I think so, yeah. Because when I tried it,
I didn't know that.
Thing. Yeah. So, yeah, it's really irritating. I'll have a word with Elon next time I see him.
Yeah.
Just ask for him to, put a good word in.
He's not busy.
Well, clearly.
Oh, all right. And you can reach us all at brightsidehometheater.com. You can just put our first names in there, DJ, John, or Steve, at brightsidehometheater.com, and you can email us directly. And we're getting the emails, so we've got a lot to get to for listener experiences this week. A lot of comments on YouTube, a lot of emails. We'll get to all of that. But is that about everything, boys, before we get going on the show proper?
I think so.
All right. You're laughing at my little fake accent.
Just because I said you were building a smart home, now you just can't let it go.
Nope. No, wait. I'm going to be hanging out with my daughter next week. I think I'm going to have her teach me. She has a fun accent, so I'm going to learn from her. And then next time I'm on, we'll all have the English accent.
I can't wait for that. I can't wait to hear that.
I doubt it'll ever happen.
It'll be as accurate as my Boston accent, which is not.
Are you kidding me? I'll be doing Australian. What are you talking about? Or I should say Austrian.
I'm a New Zealander. But yeah, Dumb and Dumber. Yeah. Throw another shrimp on the barbie.
Yeah. All right. Let's get to the first. First up, we have Tweaks of the Week, and John has a Lulu.
A Lulu?
Yeah.
What are you, 90?
I'm really excited for this one because I think it's something that I think the listeners are going to like. I like. Let's get to it.
Yeah, well, so I added a mini DSP 2x4 HD to my audio system last week, and as much as I like to be hands-on with my system as much as possible, I did not want to tackle this process in any way. So I lined up somebody to do a calibration for me, quote unquote professional, and we did that this past week. So I don't know how much you want me to say about it. I mean, I love it. I think it's easier for me if you ask me questions, I guess. Okay. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. So
why did you, I know the answers to most of these, but why did you seek out a mini DSP first of all? What was your goal?
My goal was to improve the bass response in a room that is not conducive to having a home theater or bass setup.
You mean a home?
Right. Basically, it's an open living room. There's no pressurization. It's not really the best room. It's hardwood floors. It's got challenges. So I have always been pretty happy with my bed layer speakers, but I have not been super happy with the bass and what I was getting out of that. And I've felt for a long time that the mini DSP was something I wanted to try, but again, I did not really want to put I hate to say it, but I didn't want to put the work in. Like, I just didn't want to have to spend the hours and hours and hours it takes to learn REW and the trial and error of it. And then at the end of the day, not knowing if I really have it right or not.
Right. Exactly. No, I don't blame you at all.
I came across a gentleman on Facebook who his name just kept popping up. His name is Brandon Hill. And post after post, hey, shout out to Brandon for doing this calibration on my mini DSP, and it kept popping up. So I was like, well, all right, I'm going to get in touch with Brandon and find out how the process works, because this is completely remote. There was nobody in my house but myself. And so I was fairly hands-on through the process, taking measurements, setting the mics and doing things like that. But he did all the REW work. So I spoke with him. He kind of went through the process with me. And this was a couple weeks before Black Friday. And I was like, well, okay, it all sounds great. I'm going to keep my eyes open through Black Friday, see if any kind of Cyber Monday or Black Friday deals show up with the U mic and the mini DSP. And I was going to buy it anyways, but I just wanted to, if I could get a better price, I wanted to do that. And sure enough, on Cyber Monday, they had, I think, 10% off the package. So I went ahead and bought that, and then we got it done. So, like I said, it's, it again, still not like what you're going to get, right? Like it's still not going to be the perfect acoustics
right.
of something you're able to get in your enclosed theater room with, perfect placement and all that stuff. But I have got a response that I didn't think was possible in the room that I have. Yeah.
Nice.
I've been very, very happy with it over the last couple days. I spent a lot of time. I joke that I watched all these movies because of the list, but I was going to watch most of these movies anyways because I wanted to test this. I wanted to test this thing out.
Yeah.
And so it's more than just REW. Like the mini DSP is programmed, REW is programmed, but then he goes back through. We rerun Odyssey and we recalibrate the main speakers as well. Everything is level matched. The crossovers are set based on the readings that are being done through REW. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty thorough. It took about 4 hours to do the whole process. And it was really great experience. So
you had fun doing it though. Like, it was a great experience working with, what's his name again?
His name is Brandon Hill.
Brandon.
Yep. And like I said, he works primarily through Facebook. You can, if you're really interested at all, you can send me a message and I can help you get in touch with him. Or you can just go to the mini DSP REW groups on Facebook and search him out, and his name will be everywhere. Again, if you're familiar with Steve Smith at all, he's a big YouTube guy in the home theater world, and he just kind of endorsed Brandon a couple weeks ago as well as being the guy that you want to talk to. So
cool.
As far as rates and things like that, I won't discuss those because that's going to be determined between the customer and him based on the needs. So that's something that will have to be worked out, with individuals. But I can vouch for the process. I think it was, I had a great time doing it. I'm not going to say I learned a lot because I really just couldn't sit there and, he's moving graphs, all over the place. And I'm not really following everything that's going on, but I do now know how to level match my speakers, and things like that I really didn't know how to do. So I did learn some things through that, how to take some better Odyssey measurements and readings. He helped me through that. And
and like,
great.
And like you and I discussed earlier, it's right.
Exactly.
I think you told me like what you paid, but and what it would be, because I get prices vary depending on the
prices vary, and then just to be honest, and it's not my business at all, but just to be honest, like, he's blowing up. So he was not like, he was charging a fairly low rate, and people were telling him, look, you should be charging more for this service. I was kind of like the last guy grandfathered into his basic price because I got in just under the wire. But he was telling me, even as we were doing it, that, hey, he's going to a strictly hourly rate now instead of a flat rate. And, it is a little bit pricier than what I paid. And that's why it'll vary, because it depends on your particular setup and how long it would take to get it dialed in. So, it is an hourly rate, but I would expect minimum 3 hours, up to 4 or 5 hours. But yeah, I was very happy with what I paid. And even if I paid the new rate, I feel like I would still be pretty happy with it, knowing that it took 4 hours and what he's going to charge per hour. It's still fair.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah. And that's the thing. It's at the end of the day, it's like even his new rate is very comparable to what I've paid for projector calibrations, other calibrations. And it's not so much. And what I like about this and why I was excited for you to talk about it is like, we have people that do this stuff and they're experienced, but it's that FOMO. You're always afraid that what you didn't do it right. Is there a setting I missed? Is there something like that? And if somebody just wanted, now I know I would, do you want to run through this just to see if your system is right? And that to me, for a lot of our listeners and myself, it's like, that's worth it, right? It's like, I've already done it. I think my system's running great, but you want to get that, that extra, star, and you want to know just for your own peace of mind. It's not like you're going around telling everybody. It's your own peace of mind. I know this is right. And to have somebody come in, whether it's remotely or come to your house or whatever, these calibrations are super important to us because we never know. All we know is like, I go to the movies and it's better than that, but is it better than this person's? Is it better than that? We're not trying to get better than the next person. We're trying to just better our own experience.
I just want to get the best out of my equipment. I'm not comparing my setup to Steve's or yours or anybody else's because all of our rooms are different and all of our setups are different. And again, I will never be able to get what you guys can get just because of the acoustics of the room that I'm in and my particular setup at this time. But I'm really happy with the results. Yeah. Because what it does is, it really focuses the bass where you want, like it focuses the bass to your main listening position where you want it as opposed to, like I got bass before. I mean, I have huge subs in that room and they shook my whole house, but I wasn't feeling it where I wanted to feel it. Right. And now I am. So that alone to me was worth, and it's very clean. Yes. Yeah. Nice. And then I've got, I'm even here, again, I'm hearing my surrounds better. I'm hearing my Atmos speakers better because now they're level matched better than Odyssey did on its own. Okay. And, the crossovers, again, we all hear, set all the crossovers to 80, set everything to small, do all this and that. But once we started doing the readings, well, we were changing that, he says, well, set your main speakers to 120 and let's run it. Let's see how it sounds. All right, let's dial them back to 110. So none of my crossovers are set at 80, but they're all set for the best readings that I'm going to get out of my room. So some of those generic things that we all just do, you can't know that they're not the best unless you have a graph, something that tells you that they're not. So, so I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, it doesn't sound any louder necessarily, I mean. No,
it might actually sound quieter, just clearer. Everything is more clear.
Because he was like, you're never going to be able to listen at reference again. It's just going to be way too loud. It's like, well, I'm at reference now. So it didn't necessarily crank up the volume, but it's cleaner. And like I said, the bass is much improved. First movie I watched was Edge of Tomorrow, and we all know it starts with that, incredible bass, and I felt it right up my seat. So I was pretty happy with that.
There's a phrase.
Yeah, well,
I gotta put that on a T-shirt.
Both
Right
ways.
Side Home Theater felt it right up my seat.
Both ways, and then the movies that I watched. I watched The Batman. I watched. Uncharted was, we'll talk about these movies more in depth in a little while. Uncharted didn't do a lot for me, but, The Batman definitely did. And
it's not on your list. You didn't happen to throw in.
I have to pull up my list. What was
you didn't throw in Dune, did you?
Ambulance was your
Ambulance. Ambulance was insane.
Isn't it?
It was just insane. I didn't put Dune back on because I was running out of time. Yeah. I wanted to get to the Northman again yesterday, but it's just so long and I just didn't have the time. But I definitely want to get that in this week, hopefully. And then I'll start pulling up some more movies that I've watched already and try to do some comparisons. But I wanted to kind of get to some because I had we had a list to fill out as well. I didn't want to watch a bunch of movies that weren't from 2022. So
cool. That's awesome. We got some people in the chat saying hi. Mark Hader, who doubled his pledge amount this week.
Yeah.
Mark Hader's saying hi, saying happy holidays. Johnny Speakers is in there saying hi. Mike Schramm, of course. So it's awesome. Hi to everybody in the green room. Thanks for watching. Let's see, what else do we got? I think that's it for tweaks of the week. I have a pretty big one. I'll tease it out. I have a pretty big one coming up, and it's another scheduling snafu. But Chris Deering and I have been chatting for about a month now. We did a remote calibration of my Lumigen a while ago.
Oh, okay.
And he's going to be coming on the show. It was supposed to be this week, but he had a snafu with his car, and now he has to drive his wife's car, so he has to pick her up. So scheduling went out the window, and I don't know if we're going to be able to do it next week. We're trying to work that out. I don't know if it's going to be feasible, but great guy, having a great time talking to him. I can't wait for you guys to I mean, he's as enthusiastic as we are, but he does, video calibrations and all that stuff. So a lot of our listeners know who Chris Deering is. So
if only DJ he knew someone that could fix a car bumper. I mean, I wonder.
Yeah. No, it wasn't a bumper. His I think it was his sunroof. It just exploded on him, which has happened to me. Not a sunroof, but a back window in my truck once. Just literally, it was hot. But I think he's out in, I don't know if it was hot where he was. I think he's out in Washington State. But yeah, he was great. It was Sunday. We were supposed to record this week, and I believe it was tomorrow. We were all set up to record, and we hours and all set. And he texted me on Monday, and he's like, guess what? He's like, boom, it just exploded. And I was like, hey, no biggie. This is just all for fun anyway. So
I've heard it all now. I've heard the dog ate my homework. I've heard I had to,
my window exploded.
My sock drawer.
My sunroof exploded.
My sunroof exploded.
So
who knew?
Who knew? It's right. Exactly. So all right.
And I imagine you get all the excuses, Steve.
Well, it's fair to say there are one or two, yes.
Yeah. All right. We ready to get to
and clients.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. All right. We ready to get to some listener experiences? Because we have a bunch. All right. Let's see. I'll start off with this first one here from our boy, Mark V. And I didn't... this is why I messed up Mark's name. I had to grab this. So here's the message I got from Mark. And it says, hey, Deej, it's Steve, Dan, LOL. Please don't forget about that digital 4K Born series that I donated with arrows. He goes, I sent you photos in this thread back in July. Unless you wanted them, that's cool too. Thinking like I just kept them. Because, that's me. Unless you want them. I've won plenty of movies from you in the show. Thanks again, DJ. The show and HT family just keeps enjoying and growing. Awesome stuff. Can't wait to see what happens in the future. Your friend, Steve Dan.
Steve Dan.
So I'm getting my cojones, my Christmas jewels, my ornaments busted left and right. And that's how and when I just happened to see this after the fact, and I was like, and you guys see in the notes, this is a screen grab of the actual message. So you guys can verify I didn't misspell. He misspelled his own name. Mark V, spelled Stevedan.
Yeah.
So I'm just, not trying to get defensive here with my attorney standing by, but, All right. Who wants to read the next one?
I will. I've got it pulled up already. This one comes from WV Brew on Twitter. It says, at BrightSideHT, Mostly guilty pleasures, all 6 for $44.61. Shipped. MVD sale. Never watched Roadhouse 2 or Double Dragon. And it's a picture of 6 Blu-rays.
Yeah.
Bright Lights, Big City, Double Dragon, Double Impact, Roadhouse 2, Lionheart, and Getting Even with Dad. I can't say I've seen a single one of those.
Really?
6 movies. Yeah.
I've never heard of Getting Even with Dad. I didn't know Roadhouse 2 existed. And I haven't seen Double Dragon, but I've heard of it.
I've probably seen Lionheart. I've probably seen the Van Damme movies. Yeah.
In the theaters. Yeah. Double Impact. Do you remember that one?
Yeah. Like now that I'm looking at it, I've probably seen both of the Van Damme movies, but I haven't seen either of the
finest acting. He played both roles, John.
I know. I mean, what range?
What range?
Yes.
Good cop, bad cop.
Yeah. Well, good cop, worst cop.
Right.
Good actor, worst actor.
I was just going to say that.
When I saw this, I had no idea Roadhouse 2 existed either.
Yeah.
And I've only relatively recently watched Roadhouse again. I mean, we all love it.
Oh my God.
As guilty a pleasure as that film is.
Who hasn't wanted to rip out somebody's throat?
Well, indeed, at the moment, my throat, right now, to be honest, my own. However, yes, so I thought, right, well, let's have a little look at this. So I dialed it up on YouTube, and it's available free on YouTube because it's a direct-to-DVD movie. And I watched, let's see, about 20 minutes of it, I think. 1, 20 minutes I won't get back. 2, I mean, to call that film a guilty pleasure is an insult to everybody that's guilty. And I've met a few people that are guilty over the years. And it is
bad,
dreadful. It's awful.
Well, WV
that saved me 20 minutes, Steve. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, don't.
Oh, now I'm going all in.
Yourselves.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
DJ will. He'll brightside the whole thing. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he will. I mean, 20 minutes was enough, and that was skipping through. I didn't watch the first 20 minutes. Because of course you know how martial arts films
and you
go.
missed the nuances.
You missed the plot, Steve.
The nuances of Roadhouse 2. What is it? It's his brother or something, right? Or is it his son?
It's his son.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, I read.
Does he say pain doesn't matter too?
Oh, he does. He does the
pain don't
rules.
hurt.
He does the rules about the. He does the 3 rules of you've got to be nice and you've got to all this stuff and you get all that crap. I mean, it's every bit as bad as it sounds and not in a good way.
It's funny.
I can't wait.
No, don't do it to yourself.
I hope that's in my stocking this year.
Life is too short, guys. Life is too short.
Yeah, I know. We got movies like Malignant to watch.
Hey, easy.
Hey, we're all having fun.
John's going to say Midsummer in a minute.
I would say or Midsummer.
Really defensive. Yeah, right. Steve,
I know.
Hit him again. You're closer. Come on.
Exactly. I don't know. Which way do I? Bang.
Oh, man. But no, I saw that. It had no.
Dreadful.
No. Huh? There you go.
I mean, that's too nice a word.
Well, I am interested in checking that out. I have seen Bright Lights, Big City. Loved that back in the day. Double Impact back in the day. Lionheart.
Yeah.
It's like, for me, it was like down the left side of the picture. I saw them all. Down the right side, I hadn't seen them. And 2 of them I didn't even know existed. So, thanks, WV. All right, what do we got next? Steve, PT's comment.
Yep. So this is a comment on the Top Gun Maverick home theater experience podcast, and this says several months from someone called PT. So it says several months ago I saw the movie and presumably Top Gun. Several months ago I saw the movie in an IMAX theater at AMC. I loved the movie, but the sound was ear-deafening, too loud. And today I've bought and watched the 4K disc. My 7.2.4 sound system is so much better than IMAX at AMC theaters, in that it's clear and detailed without being ear-deafening, too loud. But the 4K disc picture was not tall like IMAX, so the picture was better on an IMAX screen. I've got my own experience of that, actually. I think I've said this to you guys before. I saw Dunkirk. I had to travel to the nearest IMAX theater to me here is about 45 minutes away, in a place called Cheltenham. You guys would call it Cheltenham. Anyway, Cheltenham.
Cheltenham.
So
No, that's probably what we'd say here. Yeah,
Cheltenham.
Probably. We'd probably say, because we have places here from you.
Yeah.
I mean,
Worcester.
Like Worcester. We don't say
Dorchester,
Worcester, or we have Chatham. We don't say Chatham. It's Chatham.
Okay, but you say Birmingham. It's Birmingham.
But we don't have that. That's down in the south. We're talking. This is New England. This is New England.
Hey, what's wrong with the old England?
Well, we got the hell out of there. That's what's wrong with it.
Yeah, well, that is true. So
and you chased us.
And that's the plot of Hamilton.
There you go.
You'll be back. Wait and see. Right. Anyway.
For vacation.
Yeah. So we did. So I went to Cheltenham to this IMAX theater to see Dunkirk on the day it came out, and I thought it's worth the trip. I wouldn't normally travel that kind of distance to see any film really in the cinema, but I did, and I hated it. Absolutely hated it. But nothing to do with the film. It was the sound. It was deafening to the point where again, forgive me. I mean, anyone listening, I may have said this before on our Takeover Tuesday episode, but the speakers were rattling in their boxes. It sounded as though they were broken. It was that loud. It was ear piercing, and it was dreadful. And I mean, how I even sat through the film, I don't know. And again, actually, John, this goes back to what you were talking about earlier, and DJ, you as well. Good sound, excellent sound, doesn't have to be loud. Good sound can be good or excellent without being ear deafening. And unfortunately, interesting that PT says this is because I thought it was just this one particular cinema in Cheltenham, but clearly that seems to be an issue elsewhere as well. And that does no favors to IMAX. You should be enjoying the experience, not enduring the experience.
Exactly.
It's not a sort of endurance contest, is it? You're supposed to be entertained, not deafened. So
we've said that.
But
the listeners and I, we've had discussions like that before. I had people like the emails would come in, and it was IMAX was always just. There's a disconnect there, but I have they just think, or this was what we assumed. It felt like they just thought loud is good, right? It's like the teenager in his car, just crank all the speakers. It doesn't matter. There's, you're not looking for clarity or anything like that. But to go to a Dolby cinema, that's where you get the room is calibrated like what John just had done, right? Where it's like, okay, it's loud when it needs to be, but it's clean, it's precise, that's
Controlled.
The advantage. Controlled. I have since learned from the listeners that there are IMAXs that can rival a Dolby cinema, that they are properly calibrated, but they are few and far between. The reputation is IMAX is just concert going, really just overwhelmingly loud, but it's, that larger than life experience and, for picture, and apparently they're just hitting you with the sound. But there are a few places on the planet that have a great IMAX screen and a great, IMAX sound, great sound. But that just isn't their reputation, apparently. And PT is just more evidence of that.
Right. That was the last time I went to an IMAX theater. Yeah. And that was Dunkirk. So what was that, 2017, 2018?
Exactly. Yeah. Honestly, I think that might be the same thing for me. It might be the exact same movie because it's not worth it. I don't care about the big, giant, tall screen. I really don't. I want a big theater screen, just like when I go to a movie, but to have a big giant screen, that doesn't impress me. What you can do, seriously though, like a giant tall screen, you're just pulling the projector further away and you're putting a bigger image on the wall. That's not impressive. Impressive to me is sound design, how you move the sound around the room, how you influence the viewer emotionally with how that sound is being portrayed, or lack of sound as one of your favorite, genres, horror. It's like when it gets quiet, you're like, oh crap, what's going to happen next? But that's all sound manipulation. That's not giant screen. That's big screen is just bigger, more light. Big deal.
If that's all you want, you can get that at home by just sitting 2 inches away from your TV.
Yeah, exactly.
If you want to sit that close, you'll get a really big screen. Then it'll feel huge.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's any good.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, like you said, and I think you're right to point it out, DJ. Again, it's good that you did. Definitely, I'm sure not all IMAX screens are like that. There will be good ones out there, but unfortunately, there are those that aren't. And as I said, it just ruins the film. I came out of there livid, really angry at the film, which is not Chris Nolan's fault. And to the point where I remember, I think I might have even tweeted something out. This would have been before we were in contact. I may have even tweeted out saying I hated that. Yeah. And I didn't enjoy that at all. And unfortunately, I aimed that at the film rather than the presentation. But then watching it again at home, properly done, it was great. And I really enjoyed it. And again, it just shows that presentation is everything. And you can have really good image and sound without being pummeled over the head with it.
Yeah, so exactly.
That's my rant over.
There we go. All right. I'll read these next two because this first one's really quick. WV Brew chiming in at Brightside HT. Hey, it was a good action movie. I had a good time. Talking about Roadhouse 2. It's like he already had his comeback. He knew what we'd say.
He did.
And Francis Amoko at Boogie236 on Twitter. Thanks, Brightside Home Theater, for being my top podcast on at Spotify this year. I loved all 8,238 minutes of it. Oh, that's like 2.5 hours a week he's been listening. And I'm like, I do 2 shows at 2.5, so he's actually missing some here. Francis, what's up, buddy? No, I'm just kidding. That is
it carries on like this. He's going to have little cards where you get a stamp for every 1,000 minutes. And you get to 10, and then you get
a free sandwich at the end.
You get a free sandwich.
You get a week off.
Or as John would do, you get a free Coke.
Yeah.
That's what he did to his employees. Get a free Coke if you do this. But yeah, I've had a few people send me these things. And what's funny is, like, Francis did it. I think Andrew, one of the Andrews did it. He included us, but they wrote, like, Francis wrote, you guys see the tweet, thanks. And they wrote out Brightside Home. I wasn't tagged in this. I just happened to be scrolling through Twitter and I was like, hey, I saw our logo at the bottom there because openspotify.com. And I was like, oh, hey, they're talking about, hey, Francis, what's up, buddy? He didn't tag us. And I was like, I just happened to see it. But I think Andrew did the same thing. And it's like people are, I guess there's a new thing on Spotify. You can get your minutes or whatever.
Your minutes. Yeah, you can
track
do it on YouTube
minutes
as well. You
can
apparently do it on YouTube. I've seen someone tweeted out, one of the comedians on Twitter that I follow.
Yeah.
And he's you can actually track your minutes viewed and people engaging with
That's cool.
stuff. So you just spend a lot of time doing it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's cool. So yeah, thanks, Francis. Thanks everybody for listening. I mean, people like somebody sent, maybe that was Andrew too, sent his rankings of all his podcasts that he listened to, and we were number 1. And then it was like, there was somebody else I think one of the British home theater podcasts, HT guys, AV Rant was down the list. I mean, hey, you put out 2 a week. I'm not going to lie. I know why it is. It's not that we're better. It's just that we put out so much content and people listen. The minutes rack up.
But they're also listening to the whole show.
Right.
Like, because
that is really cool.
You get a listen if somebody listens to the first 30 seconds.
Right.
But the fact that if somebody listened for 8,800 minutes means they're actually listening to the whole. They're going to the back for the milk too. They're not just getting the sale at the front. So that's actually really cool.
That is cool. That is really cool. Thanks to everybody. But and tag us. Let us know. So that maybe more people might be doing it, just not seeing it. All right. Next one from John Heffel.
John Heffley. I'm guessing Heffley on Twitter. Yep. At Brightside HT, at Legal Beagle OK. The discussion of ads before movies is something that drives my wife and I crazy. We saw The Menu a few weeks ago, and it was over 25 minutes after the showtime before the film started. Someday I will have a nice HT and won't have to worry about that. And then we got a response from our own Steve George. It's one of my biggest bugbears. Ads and trailers before a movie can ruin the experience, especially if you've seen them all lots of times.
Yeah.
HT is definitely the way to go. Yeah, I've actually gotten to the point where I show up at showtime now.
Yeah.
If the movie's supposed to start at 3, that's when I get to the theater. And then I go get my popcorn and I go to the bathroom and I go in and sit down. And then 25 minutes after the showtime, the movie's about to start.
Well, now with assigned seating, you can do that.
Well, yeah, right.
And
because you don't have to wait in line like you used to. Although now I actually get my food delivered to my seat because I'm lazy. But and they offer that.
It's they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot here because it used to be a big deal to get there early because you didn't want to miss the trailers. Right. Because that was the only place you got to see them. Right. But now with streaming and social media, it's like the trailers are out and you're like, you can piece, I swear, I pieced Bullet Train together before the movie came out. I'd seen the whole thing.
And it's not just trailers anymore. Now it's Nuvi and Maria Menounos and, it's all this stuff before every movie. And it's like, all right, man, I don't need to see all this.
But John had gone on in that conversation with Steve, and it was like, even what really gets me, and this was back in the spring when we were hitting, Jurassic World Dominion, Top Gun Maverick, Multiverse of Mad. All these movies came out in like weeks apart, and you were going to the theater and you're seeing, oh my God, like Steve said, the same trailers over and over, and be like, if I see another trailer, I can't wait for Avatar, Way of the Water or whatever. But if I see one more trailer for that, I'm like, I'm going to drown. I'm like, it's just crazy. But that's the thing. You're so worn out by the time you get to the theater, you don't care about the trailers. And then like John had mentioned in that tweet exchange, then right after all the trailers, they hit you with Coke and popcorn commercials, and you're like, seriously, you're about to start the movie. Who's going, oh, I can get a Coke and popcorn? Hang on, pause the movie, I'll be right back. It's like, well, do that at the beginning, not at the very end, because you're getting pissed.
That's the other part, too, is by the time the movie has started, I've finished my popcorn and my drink, right?
Like, gotta go get more.
John's
I have to go get more. Yeah, and I have to pee again because it's been a half an hour. So
it's just.
But you finished all your snacks and the movie hasn't even started yet.
Right.
So
dial out for more food.
Exactly.
As I said in that thread, and just sort of quickly, but it puts me in such a bad mood that if I was a director of a film, like your chap from last week, if I was a director of a film, and I knew that patrons coming to pay good money to see my film was subjected to all this nonsense first, so that by the time they start the film, they're already in a bad mood and already irritated. My film's got to work twice as hard now to get you to engage with the art that I've spent 2-3 years of my life creating.
Or 18. The case with Patrick Reed Johnson.
If it's a passion project, it could have been decades, couldn't it? Decades and decades. And if I thought, well, now my film has to do that extra legwork to get that audience member to engage because they're starting off on a point of them being annoyed. And again, I may just be talking about me here.
No, I'm with you.
The number of times that I'm just frustratingly long. But also, having said that, guys, I think it's only fair to say I mutter under my breath at people coming in just as the film starts. So if it's you two,
it might be me.
Apologize. Down in front.
But I've done it on purpose. It's not because I didn't plan well.
That's the thing. I mean, look, again, we're preaching to the converted, aren't we? We're singing to the choir. Right. The reality here is, watch it at home. Go and get your snacks beforehand, and then play the film. And you haven't got any of that crap in advance, and you can just, you can fast forward, skip the trailers, and although I notice they don't do that very often now, even with US discs. It's quite rare these days you get trailers beforehand.
They used to do it a lot.
All the rage. It's quite rare now, which is good. And, so that's fine. And, just running it home and not have to go through the hell of this stuff. But having said that, I'm going to see The Way of Water next week as well. So,
can't wait. One last comment on John's tweet. What I really liked, and John's not the only one. We have quite a few listeners that I've spoken to that don't even have home theaters, guys. John doesn't have a home theater, not a dedicated or even a living room theater. If I remember right, I think he has like a 2-channel system, if he's the one I'm thinking of. But we have quite a few listeners that are just, they want a home theater. And like I've said, it's not about, it's the man in the box. It's not about the box, right? And it's like, you go to and you dream, because I was there for years and years and years before I had a real home theater, and then even a living room home theater, and then a dedicated. But it's like, the hobby isn't about the actual damn building. It's about the fun that we have and like look forward to. And it's like I'm in the middle. I have one, and I'm in the middle of building one and dreaming about building one. It's like, that's all the fun. Like, just like we talked about John and his DSP, it's like, that's the fun. It's like just tooling around, and what you could have, might have, or do have. It doesn't matter.
But also, there's but that's the value also, just quickly in us feeding back about the movies we're watching.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can enjoy the film even if it's not, believe it or not, sometimes it's not always the delivery system that makes it a great movie, DJ. That's what I don't know if you would know this.
It can be enhanced.
I do like.
Sometimes you can watch it on your iPad and still enjoy it.
I do love.
Or sometimes it won't play well on your iPad, and you just think a great movie is crap.
There we go. Yeah, there it is. There it is. But it's so so this when we talk about some of these films and we review them, you you nailed Lucy. I could give you about 12. But Lucy's the one, isn't it? Yeah.
Lucy's the one.
So us talking about the films we've seen, some of the times they're films people haven't heard of, like Roadhouse 2. And other times they're movies that you should see.
Right.
And so there's value in that as well. And so hopefully the listeners get something out of that too. It's not just the home theater side of it, although we love that too, obviously.
Yeah. All right, Steve, I think you got Blue Wave next.
Yep. Yeah. So this one is on our the last episode. So the YouTube comment on the Christmas Vacation 4K experience. It says, "Hey guys, great episode. I just subscribed to Apple TV to watch Echo 3 and C. Am I missing anything by running it on a Roku Ultra?" No. Yeah, so that's over to you guys, because I don't know what that is.
Yeah, Steve replied on that. The only thing a Roku Ultra doesn't do that Apple TV does is frame rate matching. So, which is like, so if something's playing in 60 frames per second or 24 or whatever, Apple TV will match all of that, and the Roku Ultra doesn't for some reason. I think that's pretty much unique to Apple TV anyways. But as far as Atmos and Dolby Vision and all that, the Roku Ultra does all of that. So you're not missing anything, really. I don't, I mean, if you're big into frame rates, maybe. But yeah, so especially on Apple TV, your Echo 3, C. I'd also add in, what's the space one, John? My mind's going blank.
Oh, For All Mankind.
For All Mankind. Yeah. Add that in there.
Fantastic show.
Yeah, fantastic, but also a fantastic home theater movie too. Home theater experience, I should say. And I for one, and Jen hates this when we watch shows, I never skip the opening credits on these shows on Apple TV, because they are some of the best HDR out there. The way they run these things, and check out the detail, and it's just fun, and it's like, it's so repetitive, and it to me, that's part of the fun later on when you hear that again. You're like, woo, we're getting back. Because I go back to Daredevil on Netflix, and as soon as I hear that, I feel like it's 5 a.m. and I got to drive my son to school after the show's done, because that's what I never ever skipped over those opening credits. They do a lot of work. They're very artistic and very well done. And I never skip over them. They're great.
C is the one for me. It's just Dolby Atmos demo from minute one.
Yeah,
fantastic.
And the
sequence.
Yeah, but the vision of it too, the way they draw the things out and everything, and it's like, I mean, even Game of Thrones and in the House of the Dragon recently, where you have the blood running and all the depth of that blood, the red and the highlights and it's incredible. It's just, there's so much to gather there, and you get to see it every week and maybe look and find something new that you didn't find, because these aren't your normal trailer, credit rolls, right? They're not just like names, and it's not the 80s when boom, Like when I watch Lethal Weapon 2.
Well,
like,
in Games of Thrones changed every time a new location was introduced. Now, House of the Dragon kind of stayed the same for this season because you really only went
to it.
I haven't seen it, by the way.
I'm not going to spoil it, but they pretty much were only at one place. Like they didn't go.
Is there a house?
Right.
Yeah, there's a house and there's dragons. But whereas with the Game of Thrones, when Pentos was introduced, and now all of a sudden it shows up on the map, and so it changed as it went along. And I imagine House of the Dragons will do similar things as it expands over the seasons. It's
they also when areas burnt down, because Winterfell when it was burnt down, spoiler alert, you then get the flames and the smoke coming out of Winterfell in the next episode as well, which I thought was quite cool.
So it was pretty cool to watch those openings.
Although a special shout out in terms of openings to Arcane. I love that opening. Music, that enemy. Oh, that music was class. I downloaded it straight away.
Did you?
It was great.
All right. Mike Schramm commented on Home Theater Experience Christmas Vacation 4K. Mike Schramm says, The Northman just didn't do it for me either. HD experience was great, but the story made it hard to stay into it. Hey, it's not for everybody. So Mike didn't, but he did say the home theater experience was great. So I don't know why. And I am not the Viking fan like John is, but I just thought artistically, I loved what they did with, what is it supposed to be, like a dream sequence type thing or supernatural? That was a lot of fun to me. I really enjoyed it. So, yeah.
As long as it didn't make you crawl around your home theater barking like a dog naked, then it's all good.
That wasn't the Northman.
Yeah, that's right. That was Lassie.
Yeah. Should see what I do for Flipper. All right, John, you want to read the next one?
Yeah, next up from Love and Thunder on YouTube, commenting on Christmas Vacation 4K. Loved hearing the meaning behind the logo. Great stuff.
Yeah. You weren't on last week. Was that last week?
I was not. That was
Christmas Vacation
2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, we talked about somebody asked about the logo and what the 5 people mean and all that. So I just did a quick little deep dive onto the logo. And it's funny, Mike actually, he DM'd me and he goes, what did you use? Did you use an app to come up with your logo? And I was like, I sent him a screen grab of, I sent him the picture. I have the picture back when John and I were coming up with the whole podcast idea and stuff. And I was like, I think I sent it to you way back then on a blue sticky note. And I was like, what do you think of this? And I just sketched it out at work on the back, on my workbench on the back of my truck. I'm like, and it's basically what you see, but it was just hand sketched. And then he goes, oh, you didn't use an app? Yeah, my brain. I was like, I just did it. I was like, I don't know. I did it. And then it's like, but, and then he's like, how did you import it into, I was like, I did Photoshop. And then I did use, I sent it to Mike, the Photoshop ideas I had, but then I did send it to my brother to clean it up. And I had basically what you see, but then he picked the right fonts and stuff for the sides and stuff. Cause my brother, that's what he does for a living. He actually works for a company that, this huge global company and he's in part of their art department where they redesign people's logos for fledgling companies and stuff. But we were just a fledgling podcast.
At the time, yeah.
But yeah, it's like art is, my sister, as a matter of fact, how deep art runs in my family. My sister runs that entire department for the entire globe. Yeah, nice. So she hired my brother years before. Obviously, my sister's been there almost 30 years. My brother's been there 25 years. They're both heads of their department. Like I said, my sister's a vice president of all of that. So, and when she first got hired, she hired me out. And one day she was working 1:00 in the morning, and she had some designs she had to get done. She was brand new at the job, and I don't know if she texted me or called. This was back in the 90s. And she worked in Boston, and I was like, I gotta go. I said to my wife, and I just drove into Boston, and I just showed up at her office. I go, come on, let's get this done. And we just started working. She's like, I can't believe you just showed up, but that's her. And she'll just keep working. I was like, you need to get home. So we did it together. But yeah. So yeah, there is
that's how the
lot of art.
That's how the Coke ribbon was designed.
Yeah, exactly. So
the golden arches.
Yeah, we decided to do, we married Santa Claus and Coke that day,
Yeah. Hey,
and the rest, as they say, is history. No, so. All right. What else I'm up next. Well, who read last? Me?
You, I think.
All right. G. Cornell. G. Cornell says, The Conjuring 3 2021 release in Atmos. He goes, Your Honor, my client pleads not guilty by reason of demonic possession. If Top Gun Maverick is your #1 pick for best sound in the last few years, might want to hold off on that pick. Let me put it this way. You really need to run this movie in your home theater. I paused the movie to send this email. In the first 10 minutes, I heard sound that is better than anything I've ever experienced in my home theater. If Top Gun Maverick is a 10, then Conjuring 3 is an 11. If you give Top Gun Maverick a steroid injection, you get The Conjuring 3. I've been jolted a few times over the years by the sounds in a movie and what happens in The Conjuring 3. Such a moment occurs. I almost had a heart attack. Still unnerved as I send this. And that is from G. Cornell. And I honestly, that's as close as you're going to get me to getting back into a horror movie right now. But he's almost got me there.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, oh, man, but the downside is I have to watch The Conjuring 3.
I know.
Which I haven't watched The Conjuring 1 or 2 yet.
I know.
So.
Am I going to be lost?
Right. Yeah. No is the answer. Because I have seen it, and I've got it in 4K, obviously. It is really good. I remember really enjoying it. I don't know if I put it up there with Maverick from my recollection. I've only seen it once, but I was impressed with it. It is a decent disc. But the answer is no. You don't need to see the other two because it's kind of an anthology movies. They're not continuing. So you've got the Lorraine and who are the other? Oh God, what's the name of the chap? Oh, I've forgotten who it is. But they were real life paranormal investigators, and they went on a number of different sort of missions, as it were. And so each film is a different one. So, God, it's doing my head. I can't remember who it was, but yeah. So it's good. I don't know. I'm not sure if it's for you guys, to be honest. But I wouldn't put it to the top of your list. But it's it's good. It's certainly better than a lot of threequels, as it were. So
at the very least, I think I can give it the first 10 minutes because he was the first 10 minutes and he's like blown away by it. So I could at least try that at the very least for the home theater experience. So.
Oh, Lorraine Warren. There it is, Warren. Now I remember. Right, excellent. I haven't cheated.
Lorraine Warren.
It is the Warrens. There it is. Yeah.
Let me read. John, why don't you read this one from our buddy Nick over from
Nick
the Nerdy
Wetmore?
Legion? Yeah.
Hey, at Brightside HT, any plans to do a top 10 discs we need to stuff our holiday stockings with? Response from Brightside HT. Yes, but it will be a year-in review type of thing that will come after the holidays. So we've already changed that plan.
Well, that's why I included this in here. I'm like,
yeah. So maybe hold on to those gift cards and cash and get yourself something special after you get the socks and ties.
So Nick put this out, and I was like, and I mean, it literally took me like 5 minutes, and that's when I texted you guys, and I was like, do you want to throw this? Put something together, and we did. So we just basically came up, and we'll get to that at the end of listener experiences. But yeah, but hey, a listener speaks, we listen. So what the hell, All right, next one from PK Hamu 2005, Steve.
Okay, so this one's it's quite a long response. Again, this is a response to the again a comment on YouTube. To the Christmas Vacation episode last week, and it says, "Hi DJ, this is Kiran. Very soon, there's some text speak here, so I'm going to try and infer what it means.
I would,
because I'm not a teenager. So, hi DJ, this is Kiran. Very soon, I would become a Patreon member for your channel and AV Rant. Thanks for reading. It says THX. I mean that Anyway, Thanks for reading my Twitter comment on the Trinov Atmos viewer and explaining the downside of it. I do agree with your views on how the movie experience is taken away when one is obsessed with the stats. I'm a subjective guy. That doesn't mean I don't read the specs of my speakers /sub before buying them, but some are too much into reading the graphs and forget the joy of actual listening experience. One of my friends who has a dedicated theater with just 2 seats is a hardcore fan of ASR website, and he had 2 good subs, but was so obsessed about seeing the flat curve on REW that he went ahead and got 2 more subs and is finally content with that graph. I told him instead to get 2 big subs, then 4 small subs, but he wasn't convinced that 2 subs can achieve that flat line. And frankly, when I heard those 4 subs, the upgrade from 2 to 4 was minimal. Excuse for the long comment, but your point on the Trinov just reminded me of the above experience. So that's PK Hamu 2005.
Yeah. That was from Karan. I love that comment, and that's the epitome of this podcast. We love, as John pointed out, with his Room EQ Wizard and the DSP and doing all that stuff. It's a tool to get the best experience, but let's not forget about the experience. Let's not look at numbers and say, well, this movie isn't very good. It doesn't have the bass that I want. Have you turned it on? I've seen that so many times. There was a big discussion on Twitter between somebody he went after Ralph, and then Bill jumped in. You saw that one, Steve, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, it was all about testing. And he's like, I've done tests and I've done this. It's like, I don't give 2 craps about your tests, because it doesn't matter. If the movie moves you in the way that it needed to move you, I don't care what your graph says. And I thought Ralph had a great reply, and he goes, I don't use anything until I find an issue. And that's basically what this podcast is. Like, John had an issue, so he wanted to address it. He didn't start with the graph and then said, it's if John didn't have an issue in his room and he thought everything was fine, which for quite a while you did. And then you experienced some other things and you're like, oh, maybe I can bump this up. How do I do that? They forget that's just the tool to the end game. It's not the end game. You're not supposed to be reading that thing all the time. It's like, that's just for I don't know. I get aggravated with that crap. It's because you're taking away from the art, the content that we're supposed to be enjoying. So
yeah.
Okay. Great comment, Karan. Get me all fired up, because I agree with you 100%. All right, next up, David Sandberg at Pony Smasher. That's not fair to the pony.
Director of Shazam 2. Yeah.
So much is about contrast as well. So he was talking about HDR. I agreed with this thread. You forwarded it to me, right, Steve? This thread?
Yeah, I think I flagged it up. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad this came up for me to read, because I only highlighted this one because he said so much is about contrast as well. There's a scene at night with lots of lightning strikes that never go above 500 nits, but because they're against black sky, they look really bright. Going higher would be annoying to watch. And basically, this entire thread I thought was fantastic, because he's talking about how people get upset about HDR and it's not doing the nits and it's not doing that. Everything. And the reason I highlighted this one is what he said here, and I'm going to take him to task about the so much is about contrast as well. I read that, and while I agree with him in this entire thread, here's where I disagree with that sentence. It's not so much is about contrast. Everything is about contrast. Everything. Without contrast, we have nothing. Nothing. You don't even have a relationship with a person without contrast, because it's like, if we always agree, what do we talk about? Nothing, right? You don't have black, you don't have night, you don't have day, you don't have white, you don't have black, you don't have a contrast is everything. And how your eyes perceive stuff, like what he's talking about here, it's like, you don't need 10,000 nits on a night sky. You don't need a star with 10,000 nits. Unless, and I think he pointed out in his thread, like if you want something to be focused, like you want draw people's attention to something, you might put more nits in something like that. But that's it. but everything is about contrast. And that's what makes HDR so great, is because you can, it just like Atmos or for sound, or object-based, I should say, for sound, all this stuff is another tool that allows the artist to, I don't know, direct you around the room, around the picture, around the stage, all of that fun stuff. And I thought this was a great thread, especially, what did you say he directed? I know he was talking about Shazam 2. Yeah.
That's what he directed. Yeah, he directed it. He's talking about the mastering process. That's what began the thread. And he's just done an HDR pass. He's done the home video HDR pass.
Already,
it's not, the film is still a long time away. And I rather cheekily invited him on the podcast. Haven't heard from him yet.
No.
But, I'll let you know.
Yeah. No, I mean, you ever listen to the audio commentaries though? Sometimes in the audio commentaries, they'll be saying stuff and they'll reference like, oh yeah, this hasn't even hit the movies yet, but they're watching the home release already.
Yeah.
And it hasn't even been in theaters yet, but they're recording their audio commentary while watching the movie. And it's really cool. It's sad to us. We're sitting there going, damn, you're already talking about this. But yeah, it's funny. Those two comments from Karan and then from David Sandberg come back to back, but they're about like, people put the measurement tools away. Enjoy the goddamn content, please. And it's, if you have a problem, solve the problem with whatever tools you need, but get back to your content like John did. Yeah. John solves his problem and couldn't wait to watch all of those movies and more. So as soon as we're done talking, he'll go back to his content.
Right.
So, all right. Next one, 2 parts from John Rudd, the email.
Yeah, so home theater experiences. Hey guys, here are my experiences this past weekend from the C-Den Cinema. Number 1, The White Lotus, HBO streaming. I watched the entirety of 2 seasons over the past 2 weeks. First of all, this is an incredible show. I believe by far the best show of 2022 and 2021 for season 1 that I have seen. It looked absolutely spectacular in my theater. Lots of incredible shots of Hawaii and Sicily, oceans, landscapes, mountains, etc. The cinematography throughout the show is breathtaking with fantastic HDR. Even if it wasn't such a compelling show, it will be worth it just for the visuals. The sound is fine, has an excellent musical score throughout. Highly recommend. I can attest to season 1. I thought it was great. I haven't seen season 2 yet. All right, number 2, Boogie Nights, Blu-ray. One of my all-time favorite movies, top 10 for me. First time watching on Blu-ray in a proper cinema environment. Looked great overall, though I'm sure would be improved in 4K. Great soundtrack on this movie and a lot of fun watching it on the big screen for the first time in 25 years. 3, 525/77, Blu-ray. Picked this up at DJ's recommendation. I appreciate it, but did not love the film. I liked that it was original and certainly creative, but a bit too disjointed for me and definitely too long at 130 minutes. This would be a better film at 100 minutes long. Very hard movie to rate for me, but I guess I'm glad I saw it. Nothing to write home about on the presentation, as it was clearly filmed to be extremely low budget and looked like a home movie, and was unbelievably grainy, but I guess that is the point of how they filmed it, so I won't call it a negative. Smarter minds than me can break down this film. And number 4, The Avengers 3D Blu-ray. Not sure I had ever seen this film, so I wanted to watch it in 3D just for fun. The 3D was decent, soundtrack was great, as usually is in Marvel movies. I was going to rewatch the Marvel movies in order and watch the first phase up until this one, but I'm going to take a pause now. Truthfully, these movies are all pretty similar, and I'm getting bored watching them. Going back to some more classic and original films. Overall, not a bad weekend. Jonathan.
Yeah, I got to imagine going back through the MCU, like one after the other, it would get boring.
It would get a little tedious, I think.
When we went through it originally, it was like 2 a year almost.
Right.
And you couldn't wait for the next one. But to have like one after the other in a week or so, you'd be like, oh my God. You start to see that formula. You're like,
Right.
oh, wait a minute here. Avengers 3D is probably one of the worst 3D. It's good. It's decent, like you said, but it's not. I think that was filmed regular and then they converted it to 3D. And it's I've never been a big fan. I have that 3D Blu-ray and I wasn't a fan of I like the 4K version much better. Let's see what. I also said I emailed Jonathan back and I told him about the 525/77 interview, and he's going to go watch that. I was like, check it out. I go, I think it will change. Again, like I said to you, John. I go, there was funny things he said about unbelievably grainy, but that was on purpose. But then there are other parts that aren't so grainy.
Right.
As you go through that movie, because it has variable aspect ratios. It's shot with different stock film on purpose.
Right.
But yeah, really cool. But yeah, it's not for everybody. It is for me. John, you want to Martin Anderson cook through these?
Martin Anderson. Okay. Me again.
Oh no, I'm sorry, Steve.
Yeah, got. Yeah, shall I do that? Yeah, no worries. So this is on the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. Martin Anderson's YouTube comment. Brace yourself, DJ.
I love it.
Okay, so Martin Anderson says, love how DJ tries to explain the science of Home Alone. Suspension of disbelief, a demigod called Adam Shaw. The family forgets a kid at home. Good afternoon to that. You guys are awesome.
I love it. I love it. It's so true. I'm like a demigod called Adam. That makes sense to me, right? I can suspend my belief for that, or disbelief. I'm sorry. I always mess that up, and my wife hates it. It's kind of like spelling and Steve. It's like she gets all mad when I say that. But that I get. But I just have no tolerance for bad parenting.
They are dreadful parents. There's no getting away from it.
Exactly.
They are terrible parents.
Exactly. And that's the funny thing. It's like that's all I talked about is the bad parenting. I don't care that the little kid was literally trucking around town. I can suspend my disbelief of the kid going shopping, the kid stringing up those paint buckets to magically hit them in the face perfectly. You know, of course, an 8-year-old can do that math. You know, but the parents, nah, not cool. All right, next one. Subject: digital codes and home theater update. Hey DJ, glad to see you're back at the podcasting after your fall, and congratulations on your daughter's wedding. You're a busy guy. Yeah, but thank you though. I want to offer you some digital movie codes. I bought a few movies at Best Buy during their Black Friday sale. The movies are, listen up everybody, these are all up for grabs right now. If you want them, you get them. Just let me know, but here they come. Predator, the 4-movie collection. It's one digital code. I've seen it. You get all 4 movies. John Wick 1, 2, and 3. Those are all separate. So if you want 1, you can grab it. If you want 2, you can grab it. If you want 3. Last Night in Soho. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Deepwater Horizon. Patriot Games. The Sum of All Fears. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, and Edge of Tomorrow. All of those are up for grabs, digital codes. If you want them, let me know. Email me, DM me. Let me know as soon. And first one in gets it. If you want them, let me know. Get digital codes. On my home theater project, I couldn't be happier. It's operational and I love it. I received some additional GIC acoustic panels yesterday that I'm going to mount today. I'm waiting on a couple corner bass traps and one other panel. After that, I'm done for a while to refresh my memory, or your memory. My theater consists of the following: JVC RS 1100 projector, Seymour AV 132-inch 16:9 Premier fixed screen, glacial white with masking panels. Marantz AV 7706. I'm familiar with that. Emotiva XPA 7 Gen 3 amp. Emotiva Bass X4 A4. SVS Prime Towers, SVS Prime Center, SVS Prime Satellites, SVS Prime Elevation for back surrounds, SVS Prime Elevation 4 for overheads, Panasonic UB820 Blu-ray player, NVIDIA Shield Pro 2019, Harmony Hub and remote, Ashley Theater recliners. 3 GIC acoustic panels of varying types. When I get the latest acoustic panels all installed, I plan on making a video of my room and sending it to you. If you and Ara have time, I'll be willing to do an HT tours with you guys. My go-to demo of my theater that I show people is Top Gun Maverick. It gives me goosebumps every time I play it. I've been watching all types of content, and it's a blast. Thanks for all you do with your podcast. Talk to you later, Mark Hader. Thank you, Mark. Again, Mark doubled his Patreon support. And but yeah, I'd love to do an HT tours. R and I are still booking them. I still have one more to finish for them. They take a little while, but we're streamlining it. But yeah, definitely. I replied to Mark right away and I said, well, thank you for 1. And 2, send us the video. I'll share it with you guys and we could talk about it here. Maybe I'll, if I can incorporate it into the OBS, we'll talk about it here too. That would be fun. But yeah, great theater. I love this theater. So, and yeah, Top Gun Maverick still gives me goosebumps. And I've seen it a couple times.
It's Goose.
Yeah.
Goosebumps. Yeah.
Goose. I see what you did there. Look at that. All right, next one. Another from Jonathan. John. There can be only one.
All right. Yeah, there can be only one. Addressed to Steve. I heard you discussing the upcoming Highlander 4K disc on this week's show. I feel similar to you. I have always liked but never loved this film, and I don't know why, as I feel like I should love it. The first time I saw this film was in an auditorium in college around 1992. I can imagine it was a really bad projection system with awful sound, but the audience was really into it. I have seen it several times since then, but never in a good home theater environment. So I am looking forward to the 4K disc and finally watching it properly in the CDEN cinema. Maybe the problem with the film is the female lead, Roxanne Hart? ? I remember her being very vanilla and not very attractive. Seems like this should have been a different actress. Sharon Stone, Michelle Pfeiffer, someone with more pop and sizzle. Cheers, Jonathan.
I'm not going there to say about the actress. Has to be
I was going to say, yeah, maybe
I'm
we
not
should have
going
left that paragraph off, but
That's okay.
Yeah, I like I said,
To
last
each
week,
his own.
I will. Yeah, I will see it again. I will pick up the 4K disc, but I only want the bog standard, straightforward disc. I'm not buying the huge special edition because I think this will be a one and done for this format. So yeah, I'll pick it up. I think it's out here in the new year, the single disc edition. I can wait. It's fine.
Is that the one? Is that coming in January or is that one of the March releases? Because we have a bunch coming in March.
I think
I'm not
not
sure.
the least
it's already
ones
out
is
here.
Highlander
didn't it come out
4K.
here last
It's
Tuesday.
already out here because it's already on
yeah, it
sale
comes out
for
today.
Like 12. It's already
actually-
on sale for like $12.50 on Amazon. So
Yeah, I think it either dropped today as we're recording this or it dropped last week. But yeah, you're right.
I think it was
John.
last week.
It
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Um,
But we've got the special edition is out here. It's like £40, so that's about $50. And I don't need that.
Yeah.
So I'll wait for the standalone edition. Will be in the new year, and I'll pick it up then. I can wait. It's fine.
I had fun with it. But I had fun with everything except horror.
I like the movie. I
Yeah.
wasn't on the show last week. I do like the movie
Yeah.
personally, but I haven't picked it up yet though. As for $12.50, I don't know what I'm waiting for. I guess I need to get it.
$12.25. Do we hear
I guess I'm
$12.25?
waiting. I guess I'm waiting for $9.99. If it's already on sale for $12.50,
Yeah.
it'll be $9.99 before you know it. So,
All right, Steve, you want to bring us home with this last one?
Yeah. So this one is from Basil. So this one says it looks to be an email. Yeah, sent from mail. Yeah. So it says DJ ended up purchasing the Kaleidescape Strato C paired with the compact Terra 22. Love it.
Lucky
Already
devil.
half full. I also upgraded my projector to the JVC NZ7.
Welcome
Picture
to
is
America.
Amazing, even without having it professionally calibrated yet. The JVC just released a major firmware update for the NZ series projectors, adding a lot more functionality. One question I had: I'm currently running the projector in LD Power Mid, which provides medium brightness. Wondering if this should be an LD Power High for max brightness. Probably a personal preference, but was interested in your opinion, Basil.
Yeah. So I replied to him on an email. I said I would expand in the podcast. Your projector's power, like your brightness, for the lamps or laser or light source, it really has to do with your calibration. Because depending on your room, how far away the projector is from the screen, there's a lot that goes into how bright you're going to need that that light source to be. You want to have as bright as you can, but you don't want to be overwhelmingly bright where you're blowing out your brights at the end. So like if you've ever seen a grayscale, that you should be able to see each block all the way up until the max brightness. And that has to, I mean, that all is going to have to do with, the calibration and when you're setting it up. But I would just, live with it the way it is right now. Leave it at, LD power or the mid that you have it set at, and enjoy it. And then when you're ready to get it calibrated, you'll see whatever improvement there could be or something like that, or how close you were. But it's really hard to say what the setting should be at, because like on my Sony, it's never, the Sony I have, the 295, isn't considered a bright projector. So I have it on high all the time. And I love it. I have my grayscale works perfectly. I get my brights, I get my darks, everything's fine. But with the calibration, that's what I need for HDR. Because you want to have as many steps. You want to be able to see all those steps in between from the brightest to the darkest. But yeah, all of that has to do with the calibration. And I mean, you really just can't say one way or the other, because every projector's power is dependent on so many different things. And that's why it's like when I say to people, like when John Brock was on here and he wanted to upgrade to the NZ9, and he had the 8, and he's like, it's brighter. And I'm like, I don't think you'll need it. You're going to be paying $10,000 extra for brightness that you don't need. It's like, you're never going to utilize it because you're going to be dialing that down, and you even dial your brightness down. That's just your lamp setting. Then once you're in there, you can you can fine tool your brightness from there too. So there's a lot that goes into it. But I recommend the calibration, just like we said earlier with John. It's like, if for nothing else, it's right. But yeah, enjoy it for a while as it is, and then get it calibrated, and then you'll get to see what the difference is. So, all right. That was that. Let me go quickly, very, very quickly today. Real easy to get to, coming soon on Tuesday. Coming Tuesday, December 20th, we have War Games in 4K. Looking forward to that. The Taking of Pelham 123 from 1974. Looking forward to that. House of the Dragon coming out in 4K disc. The House of the Dragon from the HBO series. Really looking forward. I already have it, but I'm looking forward to other people seeing it and hearing what they think, because I think it is absolutely fantastic. And Tar in 4K from 2022. That's it. That's all we have coming out on Tuesday the 20th. And I'll do, because we're not going to be around, I'll run down the 27th as well. Halloween Ends, Nobody's Fool from 1994. Halloween Ends, and the Steelbook. Because, around the holidays, you want the Halloween trilogy as well. This is something Steve wants, I'm sure. And Terrifier 2 in 4K. I didn't see Terrifier 1, so.
Great.
You don't need to. Neither of you needs to.
I don't need to see any of them. Exactly.
Nope.
So,
nope.
That is it. And that brings us to the first ever Brightside home theater must-have 4K top 10 from 2022. That's a mouthful. We'll go backwards. So how I did this, I'll start at 10. But how I did this is I had John and Steve rank 1 through 10. And they give me some extras. Okay. So Steve, I think you gave me 15. John, you gave me like 12. I did 11. So how I ranked them was I used the golf score. Okay. So if we ranked it a number 1 movie, you got a 1 and then a 2. So I have everybody's rankings here. Anybody that went over 10, okay, everything, if you didn't have it on your list, it got an 11. If it was an honorable mention on your list, it automatically got 11. Okay, because we actually had a few in here, and I'll give the scores. But coming in at number 10, we had Brightside Home Theater had Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And John had a score of 29. John had it at ranked 8th. Steve didn't have it ranked.
No, I missed that. Damn it.
I know. But that's what's really cool about this is there were so many great movies that we all forgot movies and stuff. I had it ranked 10th out of my top 10. Okay. So that gave an aggregate score of 29. Here, that came in at 10. Here are the ones that all came in behind that. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Edge of Tomorrow, Last Night in Soho, Lawrence of Arabia, Raging Fire, and Ghostbusters Afterlife. All came in below that. Those were all what we ended up as honorable mentions. There are a few more in there too, but they didn't even rank as high as those ones did. Number 9, Thor, Love and Thunder, came out September 27th. Aggregate score of 27, 2 points higher than Multiverse of Madness. John had it at number 7. Steve, again, didn't have it ranked. I had it at number 9. All right. Number 8, 3 points higher than Thor, Love and Thunder, was Pulp Fiction. An aggregate score of 24. John didn't have it ranked. Steve had it at number 8, and I had it at number 5. Let's see. That was Pulp Fiction. Jurassic World Dominion. Here we get into our first tie, but this one, because of the math, this is where it's going to get interesting. It has an aggregate score of 17. It ranked number 7. John had it at number 3. Steve had it at number 6. I had it at number 8. Okay. Tied with the same aggregate score of 17 was Dune. But John had it at number 2. Steve didn't even have it on his list. And I had it at number 4. Now, when I did all of this in Excel, these are the orders that it gave. And I actually kind of agree with these orders. What do you guys think? Because we have another tie coming up in a minute, too.
Well, obviously, I had it at 2 and Dominion at 3. So I think Dune is a little bit higher.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I agonized about whether to put Dune in or not, but I've only seen it once. And I will watch it. I didn't dislike it, but it needs more rewatching for me before I can say that's a must-have film. I mean, the home theater experience is clear, but it's just just with the other ones on the list just edged it out for me. But it's still a great disc. There's no getting away from that.
But see, what I thought was I think it's a fantastic disc, and that's what I had at 4. But what I thought was interesting is when I hit sort in Excel, it actually moved this one above Jurassic World Dominion. But Jurassic World Dominion has scores of 3, 6, and 8, which are fairly more consistent than 2, 11, and 12, right?
Right.
I'm sorry, 2, 11, and 4. So they have the same aggregate score, but I liked the idea that it even moved because Dune had the higher overall score of a 2 than the other one. So that it just did it on its own. I didn't readjust these at all. So I kind of agree with it. So, but the next one stands all by itself at number 5 with an aggregate score of 16. Spider-Man No Way Home with scores of going across. John had a 5, Steve had it at 5, and I had it at 6. Amazing. So now we get another. Yeah, exactly. Now we get another tie. So Ambulance and The Northman are tied with aggregate scores of 15. The Northman won the tiebreaker because Steve ranked it number 1. So that pushed it up above. Ambulance came across at 4 for John, 4 for Steve, and number 7 for myself. The Northman, John didn't have on his list. Steve had a number 1, and I had it at number 3. So the Northman kind of ranked out, but because of the number 1 score, that's why it moved it up there. But clearly Ambulance was very popular with us, where it's pretty consistent across the board. All right. What do you think number 2 is?
The Maverick's got to be 1. It's got to be Maverick 1. So 2 is the Batman.
There you go. Yep. Aggregate score of 11, jumped up 4 more points over the Northman and Ambulance. Okay. Aggregate score of 11. John had the Batman at 6. Steve had it at 3. I had it at 2. Okay. Drum roll for the number 1.
With a score of 3.
Home Alone.
4. Home Alone, yeah.
John, we should.
That's right. Steve had that
should have
number 2.
colluded on this, John.
We should have Home Alone.
Why did we not put Home Alone as number 1?
Because I don't think it came out this year. For one,
just to screw with no. But I know, just to screw with DJ's numbers.
No. Yep. I'm doing the number. I would have erased it. I got an eraser. Top Gun Maverick, which I thought, that's what I thought these scores, it actually worked out. You see some good numbers here and trends. And John and I both had it at number 1. Steve had it at number 2 for an aggregate score of 4. And it's like not even close. I mean, the Batman comes in second, and that's at 11, right? So that's, that's 7 points away. Everything after that, it's like the Batman had 11, and the Northman's at 15, Ambulance at 15, Spider-Man No Way Home 16. It's all pretty close all the way down, but clearly Top Gun Maverick was like, it's just hands down. We all had it number 1 or 2. It would have been, like John said, what, 3? What's the difference? But so there it is.
Well, I would have put it at number 1, but I just wanted to, have a bit of variety.
Yeah.
Well, and I didn't see, I didn't get to the Northman, which I wanted to, and it probably would have had that. I didn't love the movie, but from what I've heard from both of you, the home theater experience would have probably put it there somewhere. So.
But I think it's a great list. I mean, those are all literally must own, right? As a home theater fan, I stand by that list absolutely 100%. There's other ones on there that didn't make the list. Morbius, I consider a must own. Right. I mean, that's a movie that, as a home theater experience, that's absolutely a must own. Last Night in Soho, we've had that down. Steve had that ranked as number 9, but John and I had it. I had it, I believe, as an alternative, or as a what do you call it?
Honorable
mention. John didn't have it on his list, but we had Lawrence of Arabia. John had it at number 10. Steve and I didn't have it on the list. But at the same time, I'm like, how is this not there? But then when you see the list play out, you're like, can't argue with it. I mean, they're all must-owns, but...
And again, I joked, but I'm not joking as well. Like, I only started picking discs up again like 2 months ago.
Right.
And so these are just what I was able to watch this year. If I had been watching all of these movies all throughout the year, Last Night in Soho probably would have been on my list. My list might have been different. Uncharted wouldn't have made my list at all. But
that's
I watched
right. You had that in there.
So, I had to put it on there because I needed 10 movies.
Yeah.
So,
Ghostbusters Afterlife. I had that
which
as
was
my number
great.
11. That's a fantastic disc. They're all great discs. So, Let me read them down quick, and then we're going to get to one thing before Steve's got to go. But number 10, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Number 9, Thor Love and Thunder. Number 8, Pulp Fiction. Number 7, Jurassic World Dominion. Number 6, Dune. Number 5, Spider-Man No Way Home. Number 4, Ambulance. Number 3, The Northman. Number 2, The Batman. And number 1, with a gun, Top Gun Maverick. I mean, there wasn't any doubt. So there it is. The must-have discs of 2022. All right. Let's get to quickly. We'll have our The Gray discussion before we let Steve go. Because we're getting close to that time. We've got
we're at that time.
We've got 2 minutes.
We've got a couple of minutes, guys. We'll give it 5 minutes or so, and then I'll have to go, guys.
Yeah. All right. John?
Well, yeah, I mean, Steve already knows how I felt about it. I think you're the one we're waiting on, but I loved this movie. Rented it on iTunes. Had never seen it before. So it was iTunes HD 5.1. It's not available in 4K. I don't think anywhere. It's just Blu-ray, right? Liam Neeson. I thought for an iTunes rental, I thought the home theater experience was surprisingly good. The landscape of the frozen tundra or whatever you want to call it looked fantastic.
Didn't it? Yeah.
It really looked great. I thought the sound, again, upmixed to Noralex, so it's kind of faux Dolby Atmos anyways, but it sounded really good. You had all those sounds of the woods, the animals, the wolves. Not a happy movie, I think is what I said to Steve after I watched it.
It's a tough watch.
But really, really interesting. Like, I really enjoyed it. Thumbs up for me. So
I thought the picture was grainy compared to today's standards, but I thought the contrast was really nice. Like you said, it's like there's a lot of detail there. Even you got the snowy, when it's snowing, that the grain actually worked there. But the nighttime scenes, the wolves' eyes and stuff, it was just so much detail. It was really, really good. The sound I thought was incredibly deep. I watched it on Kaleidescape. So it as a disc, which you have the disc, right, Steve? The HD with the DTS Master Audio 5.1.
HD 5.1.
Yeah. Really good. So detailed, very deep, very distinct, really, really good. And that at the 14-minute mark, that plane crash, that's not a spoiler. It's in the thing. The plane crashes. Insane. It's like there were times I had to look away. I mean, the wind whipping around the room, the details you're seeing on the screen, the graphic nature of that, it's scary as hell. But I thought the sound really pulled you into that too. Like you felt like your room was crashing. And I had a quote that I absolutely loved. It's like, oh, it's good that it hurts? Oh, really? And I'm effing fabulous. I thought that was great.
Well,
it's so good.
I thought, for a quote unquote action movie, because that's what this is at its core, but it was pretty surprisingly deep, I thought too. Like there were moments in there, like, again, I don't want to get into too many spoils, but it is an older movie. When the first guy on the plane is dying and Liam Neeson is sitting over him and trying to, ease him through that process. That was pretty poignant. Like it was pretty deep for a Liam Neeson movie. You just don't kind of expect it to go there. And I thought it was a really, really nicely done scene. So there was some good stuff here.
The movie was nicely done. And like Steve said when he recommended it, he goes, it's not a Liam Neeson movie that you would expect.
It's not.
By the end of the movie, the entire movie, you're like, I didn't think it was going that way. And it's, it's a tough watch, but it's good. I would say clearly not a true story, but
no. And if you think about it also, unusually for Liam Neeson films, is that every decision he makes is wrong.
Pretty much.
Everything he gets them to do makes things worse, not better. And so actually he's not suggested that he's a survival expert. Right. He's a hunter. But
Right.
if you think about it, you're in a plane crash. You're supposed to stay with the plane.
Right.
That's
Frank
the thing that's
Grillo
gonna
had
be
the right
easier to find.
idea, right?
He did.
Yeah.
Then he
like-
and moves them to the trees, and on the way, obviously,
Right.
every decision he makes actually makes things worse,
Right.
and draws him closer to the conflict, which of course is never actually resolved.
Right.
But yes, it's a film with texture, isn't it? You can almost feel the dirt under the fingernails of the film,
Yeah.
and and it feels cold. You can see how much. The coldness on the breath isn't some CGI. They, the being able to see their breath, they went through that.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it just looks like a really rugged, tough film. I mean, it's such a good film, and I'm so glad you guys have been able to discover it. I mean, I was amazed neither of you had seen it. But
Me
now
too,
having
actually.
seen
I'd never even heard of it. So
yeah, it's a really, really good movie. But good. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. At least now, finally, I've recommended a film you liked.
There you go.
now you can go
and
to
on
bed and sleep
On
pleasant
that
dreams.
bombshell.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Well, I have got to go though, guys, because we're pushing it time wise.
Okay. Steve,
early
thank you
start in the
very
morning,
much.
so
Merry
no worries,
Christmas
guys.
to
Thank
you.
Steve.
Happy
Yeah,
holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, have a great time, guys, and enjoy, and no getting into too many drunken fights as a result of too much sort of eggnog or anything else.
We'll try not
it's a long
to.
way it's a long
No
way for me to
promises.
fly to have to represent you. So don't do it.
Just do it virtually. I got him right here, Your Honor. He's right on my
It's
phone.
on the bench. It's on the bench.
Right.
He's on the
It's
bench.
fine. Okay,
All right.
guys. All right. Happy
Talk to you,
holidays, guys.
Steve.
All
Thanks,
the
buddy.
best. Will do. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Let's see. Moving you over to there. There we go. Look at that. On the fly, adjusting
Yeah.
as we go. All right. Well, that's sad. It's kind of quiet here now.
I know.
Isn't it weird? It's like
Yeah.
we're back to
It
our
used to
roots.
just be us.
It
Yeah, I
used to
know.
just be us. Oh, man. Sad.
Now it feels weird.
I miss my British buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, so John, how you been? The show, Steve just disappears and the show goes flat.
Yep.
It's like, whoops.
Okay.
All right. All right. So we got some stuff to talk about though. We got
Yeah, we do.
Let's see. I've only got a few. I've been pretty busy, but why don't you start off with
So let me go down.
yeah.
Yeah. I'll go down my next. So I have Willow, Disney Plus. At this point, there's episodes 1 through 3, and I've watched all 3 of them. This is 4K, Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos. If you're not familiar, I mean, I'm not sure who isn't. This is a sequel to the movie, which I had actually just watched this past year. I had never seen it, but I watched it in anticipation of this show because I knew it was coming out. Have you watched any of this?
No,
show
I
yet?
was waiting to hear what you thought of it.
Yeah, so far I'm really liking it. It's in a lot of ways it's your standard fantasy fare. You know what I mean? You've got the group that's assembled that has to go out on a mission. And you've got your fighter guy and your wizard guy and all of that. But if you remember from the movie, it kind of focused around the baby, Laura Dannon, and she was prophesied to be the savior of this land. And now this is 20 or so years later. She's grown, but has been in hide. Like they have hidden her to the point where even she doesn't know she's a Laura Dannon.
Oh yeah.
And so, there's obviously there's need for her now to be revealed because things have gone badly, and they're on their quest. And that's kind of where we are through 3 episodes. Again, we haven't had the full story reveal, but story-wise, I'm enjoying it a lot. Again, HT-wise, it's got some pretty good Atmos effects, HDR. It looks really nice. So it's pretty good in that regard as well. So definitely recommend, especially if you've been a fan of the movie, or even like me, had really just seen the movie.
Yeah.
It's worthwhile. No return of Val Kilmer at this point. I guess according to the producers, they wanted him to be involved in season 1, but due to his health and COVID, when this thing was being filmed, they weren't able to. But I guess if it goes to a season 2, they do want to try to bring his character back in. So he's mentioned, a few times throughout the season,
cool.
but he's not going to be present. But everybody else is back. Joanne Wally is back. And of course, I'm blanking on his name now, but Willow, is back. Most of the rest of them are new characters, but hopefully we'll be able to see him in the future season.
Cool.
So,
cool.
Yeah.
And I love I wanted to comment on, I wasn't sure if I was going to watch it or not. I wanted to see what your thoughts on it were. But I do like the idea where they're dropping weekly. Because if this had dropped all at once, which
you probably
Netflix
wouldn't watch it.
Yeah, because sometimes it's too daunting and it's like, I've got so much other stuff to do, but once a week and it's like, I can catch up pretty quickly. And then you have that to look forward to. And that is turning out to be my preferred. For years on chat, you and I you hated the weekly, you wanted the binge, and we went back.
I did, but I'm starting to enjoy it myself. Although, as we'll get to on my next one, I binged a whole season of that show as well.
Yeah.
So, I can take it either way, but
yeah,
I don't mind the 1 hour a week thing too, because I'm starting to have things pile up and I can't always get through a whole season. And I want to watch more movies. I actually want to watch more of these discs that I've been buying, but I never have time to get to them because I'm just watching season after season of these shows that I like, but it actually hinders me from just being able to throw a movie on sometimes and just watch the movie. So
I know. And to be fair to everybody, this is how we've always been. Before we had this podcast, you and I, this is what we did. This is what it's like. Oh, we want to do that. I want to do that. Oh, we got so much content to watch, and it's
I know it sounds like I can obviously stop and watch a movie if I want to, but I kind of am I'm not like you in the sense that I can have 3 or 4 irons in the fire. Once I start down a season of a show, if it's available, I just need to get through it. I feel like I can't stop and throw a movie on in the middle. I have to just go through it and watch it,
Yeah.
I don't have the discipline to do that, but
but I think that's you bust on me all the time. DJ, if you stop watching Star Wars for the millionth time, maybe you
or
could
Maverick
catch it,
at this point.
Or Maverick but I love watching stuff over and over. I love pulling out new things on each time. And it's, but you love grabbing new stuff. You love watching all this new content. And we'll talk about more. I'll be like, oh, have you seen this? And be like, I haven't seen that in 20 years. Really? I've seen it 20 times this week.
Exactly.
And that's I think we're a great example of that's just the way it is. We're all different. That's why I love having the 3 of us now on the podcast. We all have different ways of doing this stuff. So,
and there's no wrong way to eat a Reese's.
No. Well, there is, but that's not for this podcast.
Right.
So.
I eat it from the inside out. And that's problematic. But.
Yeah. All right. I will go next. Lethal Weapon 2.
Yeah.
Man. This is a better home theater experience than Lethal Weapon 1. But these are
just Blu-ray, right? Yeah, it's just Blu-ray.
Yeah, HD, standard HD,
Kaleidescape for you.
5.1. Yeah. But I found this less grain, this is closer to what you would expect out of a 4K watching. You know what I mean? You watching the Lethal Weapon 2 disc and you're thinking, okay, a 4K upgrade would be nice, but I don't really need it. Watching Lethal Weapon, you're like, I need the 4K. This is, like I said last week, I don't know if you heard, I'm like,
I did, yeah.
They were I could see dirt in the film, I was like, this is awful, speckles on the screen. I'm like, this really needs to be remastered. Lethal Weapon 2, much, much better presentation, audio-wise, video-wise, fantastic. The opening scene, I don't know if you remember this movie. It's probably been 20 years since you've seen it.
It's been a while.
Yeah. So they come right in on the chase scene, and you've got
the Krugerrands.
Yeah. And he's like, woo! And he's screaming. It is loud right from Jump Street. It's awesome. But the acting, like Mel Gibson, he's just so
It's
over
rough,
the
huh?
top. And it's like
Yeah.
when he calls I've never noticed it like this before. And I've seen this movie probably dozens of times. I don't know if it's because I'm just getting more critical because I'm watching more stuff with you guys. And I'm like, but when he's like, hey, everybody, when he calls all the guys around to tell them about the daughter having the commercial, you're like, this feels like it was like, the only thing missing was the action.
Right.
I'm like, it felt like a stage scene. It just felt weird. But that's not what this movie's about. It's just so much fun. And honestly, I'd forgotten what's his name was in this one. For some reason, when I turned it on, I expected that to be the third one.
Pesci?
Pesci, yeah. I don't know. And like I said, I've seen this dozens of times. But I just expected like a repeat of one. And then they bring Pesci in on 3, and then they bring in, what is it, Chris Rock, and then whatever. They all come on.
Rene Russo.
Yeah, Rene Russo. I love the series, but yeah, Pesci is, oh my God.
He's great. Yeah, actually, we actually just watched all 4 of these, I think last year around this time. Lydia and I pulled them out during our Christmas break and watched them. So I have seen them fairly recently. But yeah, they're great movies, but they definitely need they could use some 4K transfers.
Yeah, they could use some love.
Yeah.
All right. Next one for you. I'm actually looking forward to this too.
Yeah, next one is Warrior Nun, Season 2. This was on Netflix. Again, 4K, Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos. You did watch Season 1, right?
Oh, yeah.
I thought, yeah, we remember.
And I'm looking forward to this one. I just haven't started it yet.
Yeah, and so I put this one off a couple of times. I really was waiting for it. And I was looking forward to watching it, but I kept getting sidetracked with other stuff. So I finally sat down and went through this. This was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Again, really, really good HDR. I mean, this looked fantastic. Netflix just keeps knocking it out of the park with these things. The Atmos track was good. I'm not going to say great. Wasn't as good as Stranger Things, and I don't think it was as good as Wednesday that I just talked about a couple weeks ago, but still very, I don't want it to sound demeaning, but very serviceable. Like it was a good Atmos track.
Yeah.
It just wasn't anything.
We're just getting so much good stuff now.
I know, and we're starting to get
spoiled.
A little too picky, I think. Yeah.
That's not a bad thing, though. That's how they get better.
Well, right. Yeah, because they're going to listen to us, and then they're going to take it for Season 3.
Well, I don't think they'll listen to us in particular, but we are kind of like, we're not the only ones that think this.
No. But yeah, story picks up where Season 1 left off, and it had been about 2.5 years since Season 1. I didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah.
So I had to really get back into this. Like I was didn't remember the story all that well, and it took me a while to sink back into it. But you do after an episode or two, and yeah, a lot of fun. If you liked Season 1, you'll definitely enjoy Season 2. It was really good. And pretty good, like I said, pretty good home theater experience. So definitely recommend that.
Cool. All right. Next up for me, revisit. I couldn't help it. I think I did this one last year on the show. Batman Returns. Yeah. What was that, from 92, 93? I forget off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But the last time I did it, I was watching the disc, and now I watched it on Kaleidescape, and it's still spectacular. I highly recommend this disc. It's it actually should be, as a home theater fan, why not make it a December tradition, because it does take place at Christmas. And the inky blacks of Michelle Pfeiffer's costume. It's just it's that late. It's the shine, and I'm not just trying to glorify her in that costume, which is spectacular, but it's the shine. It just screams HDR, and and then the stitching on it, and in a gross way, the HDR enhances Danny DeVito as well. When he's eating that fish, oh my God. You're just like, I can't watch the screen. Like, you can see like the clarity of the juices coming out, the drool or whatever coming out of his mouth. But the detail in this movie, and it's spectacular. It is absolutely. I mean, if it had just come out this year, it would have made my top 10. But it's been out for a while.
This is one I definitely haven't seen in a while, so
definitely revisit that this year. Yeah. It's as a 4K disc, and the Atmos is spectacular. I believe, if I remember right, this is the one where you can hear he throws a guy off the edge, and it's the Wilhelm scream.
The Wilhelm scream.
It's so great. It's like, whoa! I noted it in last year's podcast, but it's like, you can hear it, and it goes down. I believe he throws them to the right side of your room, and it's like you can hear it go down on that side of your room too. Really, really cool. But yeah, highly recommend that. If that's if you don't already own this as a home theater fan, it's definitely revisit it, grab it, and revisit it every December because it's worth it. Such a great movie. I'm starting to like it better than the original Batman, the 89.
Really?
Yeah. I just think it's more dynamic.
I mean, I might like it better too, actually, as a movie, because I like. I mean, Jack Nicholson was great. Don't get me wrong, but I liked the Catwoman Penguin dynamic a little bit more than the Joker dynamic of the first one.
And I might have seen Batman 89 way too many times, so that could be it too. Whereas this one, Batman Returns, I didn't see as many, but the more I revisit it, I'm like, why? Why haven't I seen it? So, but yeah. All right. Next up.
Okay, so this begins my post mini DSP list. You know, everything else I had kind of watched. Those were all actually from last week. This week starts with Edge of Tomorrow. So that was the first disc I put in. We finished calibrating the DSP at about 8 o'clock on Thursday night. I had time for one movie. I was like, what's it going to be? Like, what's the first movie I'm going to put in? And I hadn't watched Edge of Tomorrow. It wasn't Star Wars because I didn't think it would really show off the subs that well with the mini DSP. I mean, it probably would have.
The clarity of the drums at the beginning.
Right, but I got that a lot with adding the amp. I wasn't sure that the mini DSP was going to do as much more for that movie. And, you know, everybody talks about the bass drop at the beginning of Edge of Tomorrow. So I wanted something that was going to just show up right away. And it definitely does, you know. And like I said, for me, now I didn't watch this prior to installing the DSP, which I wanted to try to, just so I could see the before and after.
Yeah.
So I don't know that it's like, you know, that it's markedly better, but I really believe that it is.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have gotten that kind of feel before I had the tuning done. And yeah, that bass at the beginning was insane. And then this is obviously it's a reference movie. I think I'm the only one that had it on the top 10 for this year, but I think it's definitely a top 10 disc for this year. Like, this was a great movie, and it's just a good movie. Now, again, I had seen this, but one time a long time ago, so it was kind of like watching a new movie for me. Yeah, this is not one that I've seen a bunch of times. So I just really enjoyed the hell out of this. Like, I thought it was.
Well, she's spectacular. It's like
she's great, but he's great too. Like, you know, I like a lot of Tom Cruise movies, but I'm not the biggest Tom Cruise fan in general. But I thought he was great in this movie. And Bill Pullman, was it Bill Pullman? Who's his captain there?
Paxton or Pullman?
Oh, Paxton.
One or the other. Maybe. Yeah, now I'm
one of the Bills
too. Yeah,
one of the Bills. But he was great. But yeah, nobody that listens to this isn't familiar with this movie. Everybody knows.
Right.
But for me, it was like a great experience because of the calibration and all that. I thought it was unbelievable. So if you don't own it, definitely you need to own it.
Yeah.
So
it's lots of the horn, the loudspeakers when he first lands there, and you can hear. It sounds like they're over your head. It's just like in your room. And
this
awesome.
was one of the first ones.
Or whatever, the airships. And,
where I was really hearing the side surrounds coming to life. You know, and it was great. And Oh, I was going to say something and it just went right out of my head, so I can't remember what it was. But
just like those sounds.
I know. But yeah. Oh, what I was going to say is, with none of these movies, I didn't take notes on any of them. I was really just trying to engulf myself in the experience of them and try to see what I could. Trying to see what I could hear.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh no, I know.
With the tuning, so I don't have notes specifically, but there's so many scenes in these movies that could be reference scenes. So.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah. I think I did that movie. I think I broke that one down.
Oh, you probably did.
If I remember. Yeah. All right. My next one. DreamWorks, Rise of the Guardians from 2012 in HD, 1080p, right. But it was in Dolby TrueHD 7.1 on the Kaleidescape. So that was interesting. Most of this stuff is DTS Master Audio 5.1.
I've never seen this movie, but
it's pretty good for a holiday movie. It's not really about Christmas, but it involves.
Weren't you guys talking about this last week? Was Steve talking about this last week? Or somebody was talking. Maybe it was a different show.
Maybe that's why I brought it up.
Yeah, basically they're all the. It's like the Easter Bunny and
Ralph.
Oh, Ralph. Okay,
Ralph mentioned it, and that's what it was. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. But I bought it on Kaleidescape. I think it was like $14. It would have been $7.99 to rent it, and I'm like, okay, just buy it.
Yeah, might as well.
But yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty good and a great home theater experience. I wouldn't, and when I say great, I mean like I wouldn't run out and buy it. But if you have kids, this is definitely one that hang out with your kids, put this movie on, and you'll have a great home theater experience and a decent. My wife and I watched it together, and we both really enjoyed it. It's part of my attempt to get back at my youth and revisit some of these animated movies. It's Chris Pratt's in it. Hugh Jackman is with an Australian, and he plays the Easter Bunny, or kangaroo, which is in the trailer.
Easter
That's pretty
kangaroo.
funny. Yeah, he's like a kangaroo. Hey, what? But yeah, no, it's really good. Good story. Great for kids. So, and it, like I said, it's not really a holiday movie. They don't even call him Santa Claus. They call him Mr. North. So I don't know if there's some kind of licensing thing there.
Maybe so.
Could get sued by the North
Maybe they
Pole.
couldn't get the Santa Claus Corporation.
Yeah,
wouldn't give up the name.
But Santa, it's a little bit darker version. Santa's got tattoos.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It's like he's got his sleeves pulled up, right? But he's got tattoo sleeves down to his wrists, which when you see it, you're like, maybe he does. Every time you see him, he's in a Santa suit.
Yeah,
right?
you never know.
He could have his whole back done. It's like,
right.
I mean, for all you know, he's got it all the way up his neck. He's got this,
yeah.
I mean, he's all covered head to toe. So, but yeah, it was fun movie. So,
Very
and a fun home theater experience. So,
yeah.
All right. Next for you.
All right. Next up, Uncharted. Also 4K disc, Dolby Atmos. This is a movie I had not seen this movie yet, but I bought it. I bought the disc anyway because it was on sale. I guess this is of the four that I'm going to talk about. This is probably the weakest in terms of like home theater experience. Like it was fine.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It's not like a Top Gun. Disc or Edge of Tomorrow.
It's a fun
or anything
movie.
Like that. It's a fun movie. It's National Treasure meets Indiana Jones meets you name it.
Spider-Man.
Anything else. Yeah, Spider-Man.
That opening scene, you're like, it's just Spider-Man.
Right.
Without the suit.
Right.
I mean, he's moving the exact same way.
Mark Wahlberg, obviously, Tom Holland. But yeah, super fun movie. Like it's not one that I'm going to watch a bunch of times. Like now that I've seen it, it was good, but I don't think I'll crack it. It's like not something I'm going to watch
a couple of years from now. You'd be like, oh yeah, that was fun. Tom Holland's great anyways.
Yeah. He's very charismatic. So is Mark Wahlberg. Like it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Obviously this is based on a video game franchise. So I could see multiple movies being made. The story definitely sets itself up for that. I don't know how it performed, to the point where they might not want to do a sequel, but they left it open for sure. But this could be a franchise easily that he could be in and do multiple movies. But again, great disc, but not, again, I don't think it was super reference quality overall. So
yeah, no, it's a fun movie. It's a fun disc.
Right.
It's just not a lot of I mean, with all the content we have and all the great content we have, the next two you have on your list are why don't you do the next one?
Yeah.
Too.
All right. So the next one, obviously, it came in at number 2 on our list. Was The Batman. 4K disc, again, Dolby Atmos. Once again, I hadn't seen this since the theater. I tried to watch the HBO Max stream when it first dropped, and it was horrible. I really couldn't do it. It was just an inky black mess. The disc obviously is much better. This is reference disc from start to finish. Even on my projector, which I still feel like could be calibrated better, this was fantastic. Like, the blacks were very discernible. It wasn't just a big wash of black. You could definitely see the detail there. The sound is incredible. So many reference scenes here.
That Batmobile.
Again, the bass, when that Batmobile fired up, I mean, that bass, that's what I was mentioning earlier. Like, it crawled right up my seat. Like, across the floor, up the couch, right up,
Oh,
and that's what I was missing. Like, I
that.
just wasn't getting that. And, I feel like I finally was getting it here. Gunfire felt like gunfire. This is, once again, I'll say nobody here listening hasn't bought this disc or watched this disc yet. But so I'm not telling, I didn't invent the wheel, but this was just such a great experience. Like, it was really, really incredible.
It really is what home theater is all about. It really, I mean, that's one of my favorite movies of the year. It is so close for me between that and Maverick because they're just completely opposite movies. Right. And what's weird to me is like the Batman is like that. It's a comic book character that they made into a movie, but what Matt Reeves did is like, it's just such the movie itself is so artistically done.
Right.
Like it's a real cinema piece, right? Because the cinematography, the way they use the HDR in this, the darkness of it, and like you said, it's like it's not all washed. You streamed it, right? You did.
Yes, like I said, I tried to start watching the HBO Max stream when it dropped.
Way back
the day it dropped, and I couldn't. I just couldn't get through it. I got to that scene where he's kind of stepping out of the shadows for the first time on the platform, and you just couldn't see anything. It was just his face and then nothing else. It's just black. And having seen it in the movies prior to that, I knew there was more detail there. It just wasn't coming through on that stream. But the disc doesn't have any of those problems. And like I said, I think even with a good calibration, I would have even gotten more out of it. So at some point when that, when the enhanced black update shows up on the projector and Dolby Vision and all that, I'll definitely pull this movie back out again, at least for a few scenes, and see,
some of those
kind of improvement is there.
Yeah, some of those scenes on the the high rises with Catwoman, they're like right out of the books, right out of the comics. Like you felt like those were panels, and it's just so well shot and just, so much detail. And
I still have, I still have some of my issues with the movie itself. Like that hasn't changed, but home theater wise, like it's hard to beat this movie. It's just a great experience. So
all right. Speaking of great experiences, House of the Dragon on Kaleidescape. Wife and I are revisiting that. So much, just like you said about HBO Max, and it's like it's night and day. I mean, pun intended, not intended with this one, but
I can't wait to own this one.
Oh, it's amazing. And I mean, they're getting so close with streaming, but they're just not there. And there is a difference. And this one here is worth it. If you're a fan of the series, if you're a fan of, the Game of Thrones and everything that led up to came before
well, actually,
this.
This comes
leads
before,
up to
actually,
that,
now,
but,
yeah.
Yeah, but it's just it's kind of be a must-own. As a matter of fact, today, as we're recording this, seasons 2, 3, 4, and 5 just dropped on Kaleidescape of Game of Thrones in 4K.
In 4K?
Yeah, they finally got it in 4K.
So you're up to 1 through 5 now?
I own one. I bought
they'll
1
probably
through
drop,
5.
Yeah, they'll probably
7,
drop
8,
the other
9,
3
7 and 8
a month
later.
or so.
6, 7, and 8 later.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I'm not even through 1. I think that's one of the things Jen and I might
Right,
do
but
on
I say
our
by the time you
vacation.
get to 6, it'll be there.
Yeah. As a matter, I bought them and then deleted them. I'm like, I'm not gonna put them on my hard drive. I don't have the space. So
right.
So yeah. But yeah, House of the Dragon. Highly recommend that. That's coming out on Tuesday, and I can't recommend it enough. As a home theater experience. If you've seen the series, Steve hasn't. But there's some scenes there in the later episodes that are really dark. That are they are HDR juggernauts, and they're just so much fun because that's what's pushing all of this. That's what's pushing the processor talk, the Lumagen, the Mad VR, all of that. More
that's what
so
pushed it for me.
Exactly.
Honestly,
no, I know. But I mean,
show.
Mad VR jumped on the variable aspect ratio thing of Maverick, but I think this stuff here and what they're doing, what HBO and what they're doing with putting this out through streaming and really like they're screwing with people. They're not like trying, like Netflix does everything that they can do to put out the best possible product streaming, right? Now, HBO Max is going the opposite. Like, we're going to make it so that streaming isn't as good. Because we're going to produce some content that you just can't even, you can barely see.
You can't see it.
Until you get a disc. And then when you get the disc, we're going to show you what disc is all about.
And even like if you have, even if you have the best system, like you have a Lumagen with a great system calibrated. Steve's got his OLED that's calibrated, but if you stream that show, you still just can't get it.
It's not everything's not there. It's close and it's getting there, but it's just
and it's better
not
than
there.
People that don't have calibrated systems,
right?
But it's still not what you're going to get on that physical media.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. And but again, there are people out there that'll be like, there's no difference. And good for you. It's like, that's you get to be in that like ignorance is bliss thing, like your system. And I'm not bragging. I'm not trying to say, but your system can't pull that out. Enjoy it because it is damn close. And then when I say there is a difference, it's like a 2%, 3% difference. But when you get up into this higher level, that is a big difference because that's hard to achieve to get that big of a difference. Right. But yeah, for most people, the stream is damn good. It's good HDR. There's good there. But that's the part that I like what HBO is doing. Even if you're just getting this streaming, make sure your TV's set right. Make sure it's as close to it, whether it's calibrated or not, make sure it's as close to what should be there. And if you're not seeing it, trust me, it's not them. They're doing this on purpose to point out that your TV is wrong. Right? And it's like everybody's like, why would they do this? This is stupid. No, that's like saying Picasso's painting in oil is wrong. He should be using acrylic. What's wrong with that? They've invented this stuff. It dries faster. What? Like, who cares? So yeah, fantastic. Yeah. Don't get me going on oil versus acrylic. I'll tell you that now. It's kind of like HDR versus SDR. Yeah. All right. Let's do you want to skip your last one there, the Midsummer, and we'll save that for when Steve's around? That's
fine, but I still have one more.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait. I want to hear this.
Okay.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. All right. Well, then the last one for me, and I'm not going to say this snuck up on me because I had heard about it, obviously, from everybody else. But I think this is a movie that snuck up on everybody else when it first came out.
Yeah.
Because I don't think people were expecting this. But it's Ambulance.
As much as an ambulance can sneak up on somebody.
Well, right.
I loved you turn a phrase there, but I'm like, it snuck up on me. An ambulance?
Right. Yeah. But you know what I'm saying though. Like,
I know.
I went into it knowing because I had heard everybody else talking about it.
Yeah.
But I think people in general were taken by surprise with how good this was when it came out.
Home theater wise.
Home theater wise. 4K disc, Dolby Atmos. Again, reference
thrill ride
from start to finish. Like this starts at 80 miles an hour and never slows down. It's like speed on speed, right?
Exactly.
I'm not going to say now the plot had some issues. It wasn't the best movie, but it was a lot of fun. Like I didn't find myself like bored or like not engaged at any point. Like nothing took me out of the movie actually until the very, very last scene. So I finally cracked my head and I was like, wasn't he handcuffed a second ago and now he's walking with his arms around both people? It's like that was my final John moment, but otherwise, because this was actually a long movie as well. Yeah. Like it was deceptively long.
or something like that.
Yeah, because I actually had one more movie queued up for Sunday night, but this ran so long that I didn't have time to watch it anymore. Because this was a movie that could have run like 80 minutes and been fine. But it ran long. Yeah.
The entire story got dragged out within the story. Like they could have ended this hours ago.
Yeah, at least 45 minutes earlier. But it was entertaining to the point where I didn't realize it was that long until I looked at my watch and I was like, oh man, we're not going to be able to watch. We were going to watch Elvis too. And which is also like 2:40 or something. Yeah. I was like, I'm not going to have time to watch Elvis because it's already 8:30, Yeah. But yeah, again, I don't know what else to say about it. It's reference quality material all the way through. Yeah. It just never stops. And it's HDR. It looks great. It sounds fantastic. So gunfire everywhere that just thunders through the room.
It's there's a shootout.
There's helicopter scenes, like anything you can think of sound effect wise, it kind of happens in this movie. Yeah, it's like the kitchen sink of Dolby Atmos.
Do you have heat in 4K?
Not yet. Okay. I haven't actually picked it up yet.
After watching Ambulance, and they have a shootout similar to, I mean, it's go and watch Heat, and you'll be like, ugh.
Because I've heard Heat is not a good transfer at all.
No, it is. It's a different type of movie, though. It's not Ambulance. It's not.
It's definitely not. But
the shootout in Heat, which we loved at the time, it's so much different now. It's like Ambulance is just like, this is like, what is it? Jerry Bruckheimer did Ambulance, right? So it's like, I mean.
Oh, Michael Bay.
Michael Bay. Michael Bay, yeah. And you're like, that's what happens when Michael Bay.
And it's a Michael Bay movie, from start to finish.
It's amazing. And the shots, the sirens, or the lights in the HD. Right. I mean, it's funny. This movie was so good. Both Todd and I, Todd Anderson from AV Nirvana, we both loved this movie so much that we were like, we had to jump on and talk about it, right? So one day back when it first came out, we were like just gushing over this movie, how great it looked, how great it sounded. And we had seen it on our Kaleidescapes. Wouldn't you know, like we literally finished recording and like an hour later I text them, I go, did you see your update? Kaleidescape had updated the audio and they're like, and then you get your notes, like what's the update? What's in
different,
it?
Right.
And they're like, improved sound. Like, what?
Right. We already thought it was we were gushing at
how did they improve it? But it could be anything. It could be like they found a tick or something that they took out that you did, whatever. I don't know. But I was like, how do they improve
did you watch it again right after just to?
Oh yeah. We watched it again. I didn't know what the difference was, but it is absolutely. We had it at the time, this was before Maverick had come out, obviously, but we had it as this would be like the disc of the year because the home theater experience. But then when you're actually sitting down to analyze these things, like when I had
Yeah.
Ralph on and I talked about Morbius, I thought it was in the running for Disc of the Year because of the home theater experience. But then when you sit down at the end of the year and the excitement has worn off and stuff, and you look
Right.
at these things, and then the story does play into it, and like how the rewatchability, which clearly Maverick has, there's a lot more to it, and that's what made this year so much fun, though. It's like there was such great
There was
stuff.
a lot of good movies this year.
Oh my god!
You know,
Yeah,
a lot of good
fantastic.
movies. Because again, more would have made my list if I had just had time to watch them.
Right.
You know.
Well,
I just
yeah,
hadn't
you
I
had
just
done
hadn't seen them.
You were in the middle of saving, and you were trying.
Well, that's
to
the whole
do-
thing. Like I didn't start buying discs until, like I said, about August or something. You know?
August, September, and then you started
and
buying stacks.
I started buying, and I bought like stacks of discs. I bought like 100 movies since.
You didn't
then.
even list them anymore. You just sent the pictures to the green room, like, "Here's my newest."
Yeah, because there's two.
It's
I
just
couldn't type that
stacks.
many.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I had so many movies that I had not bought because I was saving up for the Kaleidescape. And like I said, I didn't get a chance to watch them all.
I think you purchased a Kaleidescape, basically.
Oh, get close. Well, I mean, most of the discs were on sale. I bought for $6 to $9 a piece, but I did spend, I've spent $1,000 or so on movies though. So,
oh yeah,
could have got with what I had saved. I was actually not that far off.
I know, that's funny.
So,
all right, my last one. Holiday themed. We'll wrap it up on this. The Santa Clauses, Disney Plus, HDR. I think it's just 5.1. I didn't.
Right.
I forgot to check if it actually had Atmos or not. It doesn't really play into it. The HDR looks really nice. It looks fantastic. It's very colorful. I loved the movie The Santa Claus. I saw that in the theater. Tim Allen, the whole thing. I saw all of them. I think in the theater. 2 and 3. I think they went on from there too. But this is a series 6. I think it's just 6. They drop on Wednesdays. The last one dropped on or at least episode 6 did. Maybe there's a 7, but it's hard to tell. I enjoy it. I'm enjoying it. My wife and I are really enjoying it. It's another fun one you can watch with the kids. It's not a home theater experience other than, like I said, the HDR. But it's just a nice, fun holiday thing, Right. That's what I'm enjoying it for. I love this time of year. I love all this stuff. Still going through Hawkeye, so enjoying that too. But yeah, so I recommend it. It's fun story. It's same exact. It's all the same characters, same people come back, but they're 29. Right. It's literally, they say it all the time. 29 years later.
29 years later.
Yeah. 29 years later since then. So it picks right up to the point that you found out. You remember when in the first one Santa fell off the roof, and then for all intents and purposes, spoilers, but the first one Santa died, and Tim Allen took over. But that was that we ignored all that part. Well, they kind of lean into that in this series here.
Well, I was gonna say, and then Mrs. Claus just magically ceases to exist when he dies.
They get into all that.
Like when Santa,
they
get into it?
Yeah,
okay.
Because
that was always the thing from the first movie.
Yep, they Rogue One to everything. They answer all of that.
Because it's like, what happened to Mrs. Claus?
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, it's like I enjoyed it. I mean, obviously, there's a suspension of disbelief here, but it's fun. I had a lot of. I'm having a lot of fun with it. That we picked it up late and we kind of binged our way up. And then next thing you know, you're like, oh, wait, we're caught up. And we were disappointed. So that's pretty good. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
So
cool.
So that will do it. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Sorry we missed Steve for the last part, but we'll get his list. Can't wait to talk Pulp Fiction with him. Can't wait to hear about Angel Heart.
Well, by then I'll have seen it. So
Pulp Fiction
be good too.
Yeah. Reservoir Dogs. See that with him.
Yeah.
Not really looking forward to Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2022.
Well, yeah.
But, Steve has that holiday spirit.
He does.
Oh, actually, I thought Snake Eyes on his list was pretty good for holiday spirit because I used to love getting. Well, actually, I didn't get them. My brother did the G.I. Joe stuff.
The G.I. Joes.
He's younger. He's 4 years younger than me, so He
Right.
would get the trucks and the plane. We never got the aircraft carrier.
Oh yeah,
That thing was huge.
the flag.
The flag.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
there you go.
giant.
Oh, yeah, it's insane. So, all right, let's one more time, since it is our first time. One more time, we'll read down the list. The top 10. Number 10, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Number 9, Thor Love and Thunder. Number 8, Pulp Fiction. Even though John hasn't seen it yet, still cracked number 8. Cracked the top 9. Number 7, Jurassic World Dominion. Number 6, Dune. Number 5, Spider-Man No Way Home. Number 4, Ambulance. Number 3, The Northman. Number 2, The Batman. And number 1, with a gun, Top Gun, Maverick. That's your top 10 must own. If you don't have them, put them on your Christmas list. If you don't have any or all, put them on your Christmas list and enjoy the holidays with those fun home theater experiences, because they are literally must own. I'd be surprised how many people listening who don't have any of those.
Yeah,
I'd be
think
shocked.
most of them probably have most of these already.
All of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because those are ones like almost like you don't even want to wait for a gift. Like, oh, I'll
Right.
wait till Christmas. Hopefully I get it. No,
Yeah.
get out there.
Not
Get
just
those
gonna
things.
get it. Yeah.
So, all right. That will do it for this year, John.
Yeah.
What a year it's been.
It has.
We started
great
over
year.
there. You're over here. We're back.
I know. We got Steve. We've got,
got
a lot of
Steve.
changes this year.
Yeah, Steve. Remember, Steve came on just as like a 10-minute little thing.
Right.
We were just going to do a 10-minute thing. And then Steve and I were recording our things and they weren't 10 minutes.
No.
we were like, and I just tried to get, make it easy for him. I know his schedule. I'm like, I just want to get him in and make it easy. Like a drug dealer, John. It's the first
Right.
one's free. Here we go.
First taste is free.
The first day's free. Yeah. Next thing you know, he's on and he's staying up until 1:00 in the morning.
Yep.
And, his clients aren't too happy about it.
I'm sure not. Less and less of them are getting off, but I think he still gets paid, so it's all good.
Oh no. Oh, all right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great holiday season. Have a great new year. I will be back. We're going to be talking. I'm sure I'm always on Twitter. John's getting my messages
Sometimes on
about Twitter. I think the last week I'll be talking. I'm hoping that the schedule works out, that I'll be talking with Nick and hopefully Gary as well, if schedules permit. But it's been a great year. Think of where we were when we started the year. And I say we as in the listeners, John and I and Steve, and how much this has come. An amazing 2022. Amazing year for movies this year. Really looking forward to 2023, what holds for the movies, for this podcast, all the great experiences we're going to have. So thank you to everybody. Have a great holiday. And John, what are they going to do?
Go push play.
That is right. Hey, Fred. This has been a Hey Fred production with theme music by Jeff Bernhardt and Throne Vault Productions.